mind forgets birthdays, names, and what you walked into the kitchen for. But somewhere deep inside your brain, something remembers everything. From childhood scents to long-lost dreams, your brain quietly stores more than you realize. But what does it choose to remember? And what does it let slip away? As you drift through this gentle journey into memory, here's a curious question for you. What's one memory you thought you had forgotten until it suddenly came back? Share it in the comments, if you can remember it. In the quiet chambers of your mind, long after a moment has passed, its echo may still linger. You may not recall the full event, what you wore, what you said, but a feeling stays, a sense, a flicker. Your conscious memory, like a spotlight, may have moved on. But somewhere in the darker corners, your brain remembers. Imagine a hallway of locked doors. Each one leads to a scene from your life, some recent, some impossibly distant. You may have lost the key. You may have forgotten the hallway even exists, but your brain hasn't. It keeps those doors standing, even when dust settles on the handles. Sometimes you hear the echo. A smell wafts by, and suddenly you're 8 years old again, standing in your grandmother's kitchen, warm light streaming through the window, a pie cooling on the counter. You hadn't thought of that day in years, maybe decades, but the moment lives. The brain had tucked it away, not gone, just waiting. Neuroscientists call this implicit memory, the things we remember without trying. But even they admit, the full extent of what the brain remembers is still a mystery. We only consciously access a small fraction of it. Like an iceberg, most memory lies below the surface. And some of these echoes aren't just waiting passively. They're shaping your present. A forgotten moment of praise may have quietly nudged your confidence for years. A childhood fear you can't name might still cause your heart to race when you enter certain rooms or hear certain tones. The brain doesn't need your permission. It simply records, connects, stores. Some echoes come back in dreams. You wake up and think, where did that come from? A classmate you haven't seen in 20 years. A street corner you walked once. A song from the back seat of your parents' car you'd forgotten until your brain opened a door. Why does it do this? Survival, perhaps, or meaning, or maybe it's just the way we're built, to hold more than we know. Every experience becomes a strand in the vast web of your inner world, and every once in a while, a vibration runs through that web, pulling an old memory from the shadows, like a spider sensing the faintest movement. Some researchers believe we never truly forget anything, that everything we've ever seen, heard, or felt is still encoded somewhere in our neural circuitry. But like an overstuffed library, most of it sits unread. The brain, wise in its own way, lets go of what we don't need day to day. It prunes the obvious, but it preserves the potent. That's why a passing glance can spark nostalgia, why a stranger's perfume can stir sorrow, why your heart aches at the sound of a certain piano chord, even if you can't place why. The brain remembers what you forget. Not out of spite or malfunction, but out of quiet loyalty. It holds your story, even the chapters you skipped. The moment you smell it, you're transported, instantly, completely, and without warning. One breath of that perfume, that candle, that crisp scent of autumn leaves, and suddenly, you're no longer here. You're somewhere else. You're someone else. Not just remembering a moment from your past. You're inside it. No other sense does this quite the way smell does. It's quiet, invisible, but powerful beyond logic. A faint aroma can unseal a memory you've not touched in decades. The brain doesn't require a photo, a voice, or a name, just that scent. And a door you didn't even know existed swings open. It might be the smell of rain on hot pavement, a bakery's breath of rising dough, chlorine from a childhood pool, the musty pages of an old book. And in that moment, you don't just recall the past, you feel it, the air, the emotion, the innocence, the fear, the joy. Whatever lived inside that memory returns with surprising clarity, riding on the wind of a forgotten fragrance. Science has a name for this bond, the olfactory-limbic connection. The olfactory bulb, which processes smells, is directly wired to the limbic system, home to memory and emotion. This connection is ancient, evolutionary. Before we had words or tools or written history, we had smell. Animals still live by it, and in some deep, primal part of our brain, so do we. Unlike sound, which is processed through a series of steps and filters before it becomes conscious, or sight, which is interpreted and reconstructed by the brain, smell cuts through. It bypasses the rational, linguistic mind and hits you where it matters, in the raw emotional core. That's why a smell can bring tears to your eyes before you even understand why. It bypasses understanding. It just is. There's a strange magic to the way smells are stored in the mind. You might not smell that perfume for 20 years. It vanishes from your life. But when you do, when you finally walk past someone wearing it, your heart stops. It's her, or him, or them. The scent is a ghost of someone you loved, or lost, or never got to say goodbye to. Your brain remembered, even when your thoughts moved on, even when your conscious mind couldn't conjure their face anymore. The scent preserved them, perfectly sealed in a bottle you never realized you were still carrying. Smell can also awaken forgotten comfort. The smell of your mother's sweater after a cold day. The dusty air of your childhood home. The smoky scent of firewood on winter nights. It's not nostalgia in the way we normally think of it. It's something deeper, almost spiritual, as if the soul of the moment still lingers in the air, and sometimes the smell arrives with no clear memory attached, just a surge of feeling, a tightness in the chest, a longing, a sadness, or peace. The memory is buried too deep for words, but the scent still reaches it, still stirs it, still invites it to rise. The mind is a forest, vast and tangled, and smell is one of its quietest, oldest trails. Follow it, and you may find parts of yourself that have been sleeping for years. When you lie down at night and drift towards sleep, the mind often replays echoes of the day, but sometimes it opens older chapters, ones you haven't turned in years. The scent of a dream, the shadow of a memory, the ghost of a place you once loved, all delivered in silence with the same mystery as scent itself, invisible but unforgettable. So the next time a familiar smell brushes past you, pause, inhale, let it take you. You're not just remembering a moment, you're being gently reminded. Your brain never truly lets go. It simply waits, patiently, for the right breeze to carry your forgotten memories back home. In the stillness of night, when the world has gone quiet and your conscious mind begins to loosen its grip, the most unexpected visitors may appear. A face you haven't seen in decades, someone you once knew, or perhaps only brushed past for a moment in time. There they are, in your dream. Their face, their voice, their presence, startlingly vivid. It's as if your mind plucked them from the shadows and placed them gently into the theater of your sleep. But why them? Why now? You didn't think you remembered them. You may not have thought of them in years. Maybe you forgot their name. Maybe you barely registered them at all. And yet, somehow, your brain kept a copy, an impression stored far beneath your awareness, untouched but intact. These forgotten faces in dreams reveal a curious truth. Your brain is always watching, always storing, even when you don't ask it to, even when you forget, especially when you forget. Our daily lives are full of fleeting interactions. Strangers on a train, someone behind you in line, a classmate from your childhood, whose name you never quite learned. Most of these moments vanish from conscious thought, but not from the brain. The hippocampus, your mind's memory architect, quietly catalogues them, embedding the details deep in your neural architecture. These memories lie dormant, like photographs filed away in the dark. And then, in dreams, they return. Perhaps it's someone who once sat across from you in school, someone whose laugh you remembered before you remembered their face. Perhaps it's an old friend who moved away, someone whose absence your mind never entirely accepted. Or maybe it's someone you knew only for an instant, a brief eye contact across a room, but the emotional resonance was strong enough to leave a fingerprint. The brain does not forget as neatly as we do. It stores the silent, the subtle, the invisible. The faces in dreams may not be random. They may be remnants of emotion, memory, and significance. Sometimes they are unresolved. Other times, they're simply still with you. These dream visitors can stir deep feelings, a sense of warmth, longing, sadness, confusion. You may wake up and wonder why that person appeared and why now, but the brain has its own clock, its own rhythm, and sometimes it brings forward the things that need to be felt, even if we've forgotten why. There's also something more mysterious, more poetic, about the brain's ability to reconstruct these faces with uncanny accuracy. You may not be able to describe them when you're awake, but in the dream, there they are. Their smile, their mannerisms, their clothing. Your waking mind cannot explain it, but your dreaming mind remembers. The neural networks responsible for facial recognition are among the most powerful and sensitive in the human brain. We are wired to notice, catalogue, and remember faces, especially those that carry emotion. Even brief, emotionally charged interactions can leave lasting impressions, buried deep in the subconscious. A glance, a gesture, a moment of kindness or tension. These are not lost. They become part of you. And so, your dreams become a secret gallery, a place where old portraits are hung without your knowing. And in sleep, you wander the halls, guided not by logic, but by feeling. Sometimes, the reappearance of a forgotten face can bring closure. Sometimes, it reopens wounds. And sometimes, it simply reminds you of the strange, beautiful way your mind works. How it remembers what the heart never truly let go. You might not have the answers. You may never know why a certain person chose to walk through the dream that night. But perhaps it's not about answers. Perhaps it's about witnessing, allowing, listening, letting these fragments rise from the deep and be seen again just for a moment. And in that quiet space between dreams and waking, maybe, just maybe, you'll remember them too. The brain cannot keep everything. Each day brings a flood of sights, sounds, words, and feelings, far more than any conscious mind could carry. So the brain decides. Quietly, constantly, it sifts through experience, choosing what to hold on to and what to let slip away. It is not always fair, not always logical, but it is precise in its own mysterious way. Have you ever wondered why some memories stay with you forever, while others vanish within hours? Why you can remember a random line from a childhood cartoon, but not what you had for lunch 2 days ago? Why you recall the exact feeling of a moment from 10 years ago, but not what someone just told you 5 minutes ago? It is because your brain doesn't keep everything. It keeps what it believes matters. But how does it decide? Much of this quiet selection happens in the hippocampus, the brain's memory gatekeeper. It receives new information constantly, sorting, linking, and storing. But not every piece of information makes the cut. Only some are passed along to be woven into long-term memory. The rest fade, often without us even noticing. Emotional weight plays a major role. The brain is drawn to what moves you: fear, joy, surprise, embarrassment. These emotions act like highlighters, marking moments as important. Your brain takes note. This made us feel something. This might be worth remembering. A single moment of terror, a car accident, a sudden fall, a scream in the dark, can leave an imprint so deep it never fades. Meanwhile, hundreds of quiet, uneventful days may dissolve completely. Not because they weren't real, but because they didn't shake the soul. Novelty matters too. Your brain notices what's new, what breaks patterns. The first time you see the ocean, your first kiss, the first day in a new city. These moments carry a weight beyond their surface. Your brain perks up and says, "Pay attention, this doesn't happen every day," so it saves it. But routine, familiar repetition, that gets archived differently. Sometimes not at all. Brushing your teeth every morning for years, your brain stores the habit, not the memory of each occurrence. That's why whole days can seem to disappear into fog. If nothing stood out, your brain quietly lets the details go. Sleep also plays a vital role. During deep sleep, your brain reviews the day's events, almost like a librarian going through new books. Some are placed carefully on the shelves of long-term memory. Others are discarded, deemed unnecessary. If you're sleep deprived, this process falters. You may struggle to remember even recent events because your brain never had time to properly file them away. And then there's meaning. Sometimes the most ordinary moments become memories simply because you gave them meaning. A small kindness from a stranger, a quiet conversation, a passing compliment that landed on a wound you didn't know you had. Your brain notices what resonates with your inner world, even if no one else would think twice about it. Meaning personalizes memory. It adds gravity. This is why two people can live the same moment and remember it completely differently. One may forget it the next day. The other may carry it for life. The moment meant something different to each of them, and the brain responded accordingly. There's also a paradox at work. The harder you try to remember something on purpose, the more likely it is to slip away. This is because effort alone doesn't guarantee memory. Emotion, attention, and connection matter more. Memory is not just storage, it's relationship. The brain holds on to what it feels connected to. And sometimes, your brain chooses to forget, not from failure, but from protection. Painful memories can be buried, softened, or reshaped. This is a survival tactic. When certain experiences are too overwhelming, the brain may tuck them away into the subconscious, sealing them behind a curtain of forgetfulness. They're not erased, just hidden, sometimes for years, sometimes forever. But in quiet moments, these memories can stir. A word, a place, a sound, and suddenly the door creaks open and you glimpse something your brain once chose to lock away. So the act of remembering and forgetting is not random. It is a delicate, intelligent, and deeply human process. The brain makes thousands of these decisions every day, without fanfare, without asking. It chooses what becomes a part of your ongoing story and what slips quietly into the dark. And perhaps years from now, a small moment from today, a laugh, a glance, a feeling will come rushing back. And you'll wonder why it stayed with you. The truth is, your brain knew it mattered, even if you didn't. Beneath the hum of daily thoughts, beneath the flicker of language and conscious awareness, there lies a quiet realm of memory you almost never see. This is the place your waking mind rarely touches, the vast landscape of the unconscious. It is here that your brain stores the things you don't even realize you've remembered. You might not know the name of the song playing softly in the background at the cafe, but when you hear it again weeks later, your foot taps without permission. You may not recall the layout of a building you walked through once, years ago. But if you enter it again, your body instinctively knows which hallway to turn down. You're not thinking, you're remembering, but you're not aware that you're remembering. This is the strange domain of implicit memory. Unlike the facts and stories you can recall on purpose, your explicit memories, these are the ones that exist just below the surface, influencing you silently, shaping your actions without asking for attention. You learned how to ride a bike, how to speak, how to read facial expressions, how to sense when something feels off in a room. You may not remember learning these things, but your brain remembers how. And then there are the emotional memories that lie hidden, not as facts or events, but as feelings. A tightening of your chest when you hear a certain tone of voice, a sense of safety when you smell fresh bread, a sudden wave of discomfort when someone enters the room. You can't always explain these feelings, you just feel them. But underneath them is memory, not the kind you can easily tell as a story, but the kind that lives in the body, in the nervous system, in the wiring of who you are. Your brain has been quietly recording these patterns your entire life. From the moment you were born, and even, some scientists believe, perhaps before, your mind began absorbing the world around it. Faces, voices, tones, textures, safety, danger, rhythm, stillness. It took it all in, not through effort, but through presence. These early experiences laid down the foundations of how you relate to the world now, not just how you think, but how you feel, and how you respond without even knowing why. This is why people can carry the emotional shadows of their childhood into adulthood without realizing it. A grown adult might feel invisible in a group, not because the group is unkind, but because the feeling of invisibility was etched into their early experience. That emotional memory lives on beneath the surface, guiding their perception. They may not remember the specific events that created it, but the brain does, and it whispers those old patterns into the present moment. These unconscious memories also shape your preferences, why you're drawn to certain music, colors, smells, why a place you've never visited feels familiar, why someone's voice immediately puts you at ease. Your brain is constantly referencing the invisible database of your past, linking sensations to feelings and feelings to choices. Even the way you move through the world is shaped by memory you no longer recognize. How you walk, how you speak, how you respond when someone reaches out their hand. It's all built on layers of stored experience. Your conscious mind may have long moved on, but your body hasn't forgotten. Sleep is when this realm becomes most accessible. During certain phases of sleep, especially REM sleep, your brain quietly stirs these unconscious memories, replaying scenes, sorting emotions, connecting fragments. This is why dreams can feel so surreal, familiar yet strange, full of people you haven't seen in years, places that blend and morph, emotions that rise without reason. These dreams are not random. They are your brain exploring its hidden vaults. Sometimes a dream will surface an old wound. Sometimes it will bring peace. Sometimes it simply reveals what's been resting in the background all along. And you may wake up with a vague feeling, a lingering sense of something important, even if you can't name it. That too is memory at work. The beauty of this hidden layer is that it's always with you, whether you're aware of it or not. It protects you, teaches you, guides you. And while you may forget where certain knowledge or instincts came from, your brain never truly discards it. It stores the rhythm of your life, like a symphony tucked into silence. You don't need to remember everything. You don't need to consciously carry the weight of every moment, because your brain is doing it for you, quietly, faithfully, lovingly. There's a moment when the first few notes of a song begin to play, and something stirs deep inside you. Before your mind even has time to catch up, before the lyrics reach your lips or the name of the song resurfaces, you're already feeling something. A wave of emotion washes over you. A memory, or the trace of one, flickers back to life. You are transported, not just mentally, but emotionally, even physically, into a moment you may not have thought about in years. Music has a direct line to memory. It doesn't knock politely. It doesn't ask for permission. It simply enters, sometimes as a whisper, sometimes as a flood. And when it does, your brain responds with remarkable precision. Whole scenes from your life, long buried, can spring up fully formed. A summer afternoon, the interior of your first car, the smile of someone you once loved. It's as though the song itself carries the memory inside it, like a time capsule buried in melody. This power isn't imaginary. Neuroscience confirms it. Music activates multiple areas of the brain simultaneously. The auditory cortex, of course, but also the hippocampus, your memory center, and the amygdala, which processes emotion. This trio creates a potent mix. A song doesn't just remind you of the past. It makes you feel the past, as though you're reliving it in the present. But the connection goes even deeper. Your brain doesn't just store the melody of the song. It stores you, as you were when you heard it. Your mood, your surroundings, the people who were with you, even the weather outside. These details fuse together through a phenomenon known as emotional tagging. The stronger the emotion you felt during the original experience, the stronger the memory becomes. And music is one of the most effective ways to evoke that emotion again. That's why a sad song can make you cry, even if you're happy. Or why an upbeat melody can suddenly lift you out of a fog of heaviness. Music reaches into corners of the mind that spoken words cannot. It bypasses logic, bypasses explanation, and speaks directly to the parts of you that still remember how it felt to be in love, to be alone, to be free, to be 17. You may not even realize the memories are there until the music finds them. It happens in an instant. You're at the grocery store. A familiar tune plays softly through the speakers, and your breath catches. You're back in your childhood kitchen. Your mother is humming that same tune as she prepares dinner. You haven't heard that song in decades, but your brain never forgot. It was simply waiting for the right sound to open the door. This is why music therapy has shown such promise in helping patients with dementia and Alzheimer's. People who can no longer remember their family's names may still remember how to sing. They may light up, tap their fingers, sway, even smile when a beloved song from their youth is played. Somewhere in the web of memory, the music remained intact. Its emotional fingerprint never faded. In a way, music anchors us to time, not in the rigid sense of dates and years, but in the felt sense of experience. Songs become bookmarks in the story of your life. The song that played during your first dance. The album you listened to on repeat during a hard year. The lullaby that soothed you to sleep as a child. Each one holds a piece of who you were, where you were, and what mattered to you. And sometimes, music holds memories that are not personal. You hear a song from a different culture, a different language, a different era, and something in you responds. You feel nostalgia for a life you never lived. This is because music also taps into shared human emotion. Its patterns, its rise and fall, the universal tones of sorrow and joy. They speak to a deeper memory, perhaps even ancestral or archetypal. Music reminds you that you're not alone in your feeling. Others have felt it too. At night, as the world slows down and the mind becomes quieter, music takes on a different role. It becomes a lullaby for the subconscious. It helps the brain sort emotion, stitch together memory, soothe the nervous system. It is no accident that we hum to babies, that we sing ourselves to sleep. The brain recognizes music as comfort, as structure, as meaning. And so, when a song brings you to tears or makes you smile without reason, know that it's not just nostalgia. It is your brain reaching back, reconnecting, remembering not just a moment, but a version of you, a version that still lives in melody, waiting to be heard again. Somewhere within the vast silence of your mind, beneath the noise of daily thoughts and the passing of hours, your brain is writing a journal, not in ink, not on paper, and not in a language you can easily read, but it is writing nonetheless. Every moment of your life, every glance, every word heard and unspoken is being recorded. Not always with clarity, and not always in the way you expect, but the entries are there, invisible, intangible, alive. This hidden journal is not made of sentences or stories. It is made of impressions, sensations, emotions, associations. It is the place where a memory is stored not by what happened, but by how it felt. It is the reason you might smell something years later and feel a sudden, unexplainable sadness, or peace, or longing. You don't remember the event itself, but your body does, your mind does. Your inner journal holds the trace. And unlike the journals we keep by hand, this one does not stop writing. Even when you're not paying attention, it is collecting, listening, recording. You could be walking through a park, lost in thought, and still the rustle of leaves, the scent of pine, the brief warmth of sun on your skin. All of it is being written down, tucked away, logged in neural circuits you may never access again, until something brings it back. Your brain does not write chronologically, nor does it label each entry clearly. It stores fragments, feelings, flashes of light and color, a song, a glance, the way someone said your name. These things don't become full stories in memory. They become imprints. And sometimes they rise to the surface unexpectedly. You could be years removed from a certain chapter of your life. Maybe you've forgotten the street you lived on, the friends you had, the details of a difficult day. But if something aligns, a sound, a place, a face, you're there again, not as a story told in words, but as a sensation. The journal is opened, and the page reappears, even if only for a moment. And what's more mysterious is this: many of these entries are not meant to be remembered consciously. Your brain keeps them for a different purpose. It stores them so it can build your instincts, your habits, your sense of right and wrong, your gut feelings, your intuition. You walk into a room and immediately feel uneasy. Your brain is referencing an old entry, one you didn't know was there. Something about the tone, the light, the energy, the faces. It's all familiar, though you can't say why. This silent journal influences your decisions more than you realize. Why you trust certain people, why certain places feel like home, why you keep returning to a hobby, or why a certain type of movie always moves you. Your conscious mind thinks it's making choices, but often your choices are echoes, ripples from pages long since turned, pages you forgot were ever written. It is also in this journal that your dreams go to read. When you sleep, your mind is not idle. It wanders the archives. It flips through pages, sometimes randomly, sometimes with purpose. It stitches together faces and scenes, rearranges chapters, rewrites endings. In dreams, the journal becomes alive, fluid, surreal. A character from your childhood might appear in a place you've never been, saying words they never said. But emotionally, it makes sense. The journal isn't wrong. It's just written in a different language. And just like a journal, your brain is selective. Not every detail makes it into the archives. Some memories fade because they were never emotionally charged, never meaningful enough to leave a mark. Others are vivid forever because they carried weight: joy, fear, shame, love. Your brain keeps those pages close, worn but legible, ready to revisit when the time is right. There is comfort in knowing this journal exists, that nothing meaningful is ever truly lost, that somewhere in the architecture of your mind, your life is being held, not just the major milestones, but the little things too. The way your mother used to call your name when dinner was ready, the creak of the floor in your childhood home, the chill of a certain autumn breeze. These are not forgotten. They are simply resting quietly in the hidden pages of your mind. And sometimes, when you least expect it, a page will turn. A memory will emerge, not fully formed, not with all the answers, but enough to remind you, your story is still with you. It always has been. Your life, after all, is not just what you remember, it's what remembers you. There are memories you wish would stay. The laughter, the warmth, the moments of belonging. And then, there are memories you wish you could forget. The awkward stumble in front of a crowd, the time you said the wrong thing, the night you felt exposed, embarrassed, small. These moments have a strange power. They stay with you, lingering longer than you'd like, often returning uninvited. You might be lying in bed, the world quiet and calm, when suddenly, there it is. That one moment, that one sentence, that one mistake, and your whole body cringes at the memory. But why does the brain do this? Why does it hold on to embarrassment so tightly while letting so many other moments simply dissolve? The answer lies in your biology, in your wiring, in the very roots of survival. Long before modern life, when humans lived in tribes and depended on social cohesion to survive, being cast out, being judged, shamed, or rejected could mean danger, even death. So the brain evolved to treat social errors with urgency. It began storing them deeply, associating them with emotional pain and replaying them as warnings. Don't do that again. Don't say that again. Stay safe. Stay accepted. And so, even now, in a world where the stakes are far lower, your brain still responds as if embarrassment is a threat. The memory becomes sharp, vivid, physical. Your face may flush just thinking about it. Your stomach may twist. The event may have happened years ago, but your body reacts as if it's happening right now. These moments are etched into the brain's emotional memory network, particularly in the amygdala, the region that processes fear, anxiety, and threat. When a socially painful experience occurs, the amygdala fires rapidly, tagging the memory with urgency. The hippocampus, your memory archivist, then files it carefully, sometimes too carefully. And what's more surprising is that these memories are not just stored, they are replayed over and over, not just when you're thinking about them, but even when you're not. The brain runs simulations, replays the scene in fragments, sometimes during dreams, sometimes during idle thought. You'll catch yourself whispering, "Why did I say that?" Or, "I should have just walked away." It's not punishment, it's preparation. The brain believes it's helping. It believes that by revisiting the moment, you'll learn how to avoid it in the future. It's rehearsing social safety, but the cost is heavy. Shame, self-doubt, anxiety, the constant whisper of not enough. And still, these memories shape you. They influence how you walk into rooms, how you speak, how cautious or bold you allow yourself to be. Some people shrink because of them, others overcompensate, and some carry them quietly, like invisible weights tied to otherwise light steps. Yet something else is happening here too, something gentler, more compassionate. The reason you still remember that embarrassing moment isn't just because your brain wants to protect you. It's also because you care. You care about connection, about belonging, about how you affect others. Embarrassment is the echo of empathy turned inward. It means you have a conscience, a sensitivity, a heart that wants to do good. And in time, these sharp memories begin to soften. As you grow, as you forgive yourself, the volume of the moment dims. You begin to see it differently, with context, with kindness. You realize everyone else is carrying their own quiet moments of shame, their own tapes they wish they could rewind. The moment that felt like the end of the world for you, it may not even register in the memories of those who witnessed it. People forget far faster than you think, but your brain doesn't, because it believes the lesson is worth keeping. Yet, you are allowed to rewrite these moments, not by erasing them, but by viewing them through a new lens. What if you were just learning? What if that was a necessary step on the way to who you are now? What if the person who made that mistake deserves compassion, not condemnation? Some therapists use a technique called memory reconsolidation. When you recall a painful memory in a safe, calm state, and reframe it with new understanding, the emotional intensity can shift. The brain updates the file, softens the edges. The memory stays, but the sting fades, and in its place, wisdom remains. So the next time your brain pulls up that scene again, when your chest tightens, your thoughts spiral, and you whisper, "Why can't I forget this?" Pause. Breathe. Speak to yourself as you would to a friend. Say, "You were trying. You didn't know. You were human." Because that's the truth. Your brain remembers embarrassment not to punish you, but because it loves you in its own clumsy, protective way. And you, in return, can learn to remember with gentleness, to hold even your most awkward, tender moments with grace. You haven't been in that house in decades. The wallpaper is faded in your mind. The furniture has long since been given away. You can't remember exactly what the rooms looked like or what you used to keep in the drawers. But somehow, if you close your eyes and let your thoughts go soft, you can feel it. You can almost hear the creak of the floor near the hallway. You know where the warm light used to fall in the afternoon. You can sense the space, the shadows, the scent, not in detail, but in presence. This is the memory of a room, not stored in words or pictures, but in something deeper, more physical, more emotional. It's not just in your mind, it's in your body. Somewhere, your brain still holds the blueprint. And it's not just your childhood home. It might be your grandparents' porch, your childhood bedroom, the corner of a classroom where you used to sit, the playground you haven't stepped foot on in years. These spaces linger. They hold the echoes of your younger self, gently preserved in neural architecture. Even if you consciously forget what color the walls were, your brain remembers how that space made you feel. This kind of memory is spatial, emotional, sensory. Scientists call it episodic memory, the mental record of personal experiences tied to time and place. These are not just memories of what happened, but where it happened. And the brain, particularly the hippocampus, is remarkably skilled at weaving together maps of space and memory. When you form memories, your brain links them to specific environments. Textures underfoot, the shape of the light, the view from a window, the scent of a room. As children, our minds are especially absorbent. Everything is new, everything matters. Rooms are bigger, ceilings are higher, and emotions are sharper. A place isn't just a location, it's an entire world, a fortress, a hiding place, a stage. And because so much emotion is tied to these early spaces, safety, fear, joy, loneliness, the brain saves them in a special way. These remembered rooms become like silent containers for memory. Even if you forget the people or the events, the place can remain. Later in life, when you find yourself in a room with a similar layout or lighting, a strange sense of familiarity may wash over you. You pause, puzzled, and whisper, "Why does this place feel like something?" It's because your brain is referencing an old, silent memory, one buried so deep you don't even know it's there. Even dreams make use of these places. Have you ever found yourself walking through a dream version of your childhood home? The walls might be warped, the rooms changed, but the feeling is unmistakable. It's a dream not of architecture, but of emotion. The house is your mind remembering the feeling of being small, of being safe, or perhaps afraid. In dreams, the remembered room becomes a symbol of identity, of belonging, of something unfinished. And sometimes we return to these places physically many years later. You walk into that house, now owned by someone else. Or you drive past the schoolyard you used to run through, and the effect is dizzying. Everything looks smaller, simpler, but a rush of feeling floods your chest. The blueprint is still active, the room is different, but your memory of it still breathes inside you. Even if the physical place no longer exists, if it has been demolished, rebuilt, or reclaimed by time, your brain can still hold it. In a way, the room lives on through you. The memory becomes a kind of architecture of the soul, quiet, unseen, but deeply influential. And it's not just the physical shape of the room that's remembered. It's the sound of voices echoing through it, the way the light hit the floor in the late afternoon, the corner where you used to sit when you needed to cry, the threshold where someone once knelt to tie your shoes. These fragments don't leave. They're written into your memory like invisible ink, revealed only under the light of emotion. This is why nostalgia can be so powerful and so painful. You're not just longing for a time, you're longing for a place that held you, a space that once mirrored your inner world. The memory of a room is never just about walls and ceilings. It's about who you were when you were there. Your brain remembers the feeling of that room because, in a way, that room remembers you too. And so even now, as you drift into sleep, your mind may wander the halls of rooms long gone, not because they were perfect, not because they were extraordinary, but because they mattered, because you mattered there. There is a kind of memory that doesn't speak in words or images. It doesn't recall events or tell stories. Instead, it lingers in the body, just beneath the surface of your awareness. It's the memory of touch, the warmth of a hand on your shoulder, the soft weight of a blanket tucked around you, the press of your cheek against a familiar chest when you were a child. These are the memories that don't need to be understood to be remembered. You feel them, even if you've forgotten everything else. From the moment you're born, before your eyes can focus or your ears can make sense of sound, touch is how you first learn the world. It is your first language, the pressure of a parent's arms, the rhythm of a heartbeat against yours, the softness of skin. It tells you that you are safe, that you exist, that you are loved. And your brain, even then, begins to record it, without sentences, without concepts, just sensation. As you grow older, this kind of memory continues to develop, quietly, subtly. You may forget the names of the people you met in early childhood, but your body still remembers what it felt like to be held or to be ignored. You may not recall what someone said to you years ago, but your skin remembers the electricity of their touch, or the absence of it. This is why certain forms of contact, like a hug or a brush on the arm, can awaken feelings you didn't even know were there. Touch-based memory lives in the somatosensory cortex, a part of the brain that maps sensation across the body. Every contact, every texture, every movement is registered and filed away, not always consciously, but deeply. And the body doesn't need your permission to access these memories. A fabric, a breeze, the pressure of a certain grip can suddenly open a door to the past. It's why the softness of a sweater can make you feel comforted, even if you can't explain why. Why the sensation of sand under your feet stirs something nostalgic. Why someone's hand on your back can instantly bring peace or discomfort, depending on the echoes your body holds. In times of great emotion, especially trauma, touch becomes especially powerful. If you are hurt, or comforted, or abandoned, your body may remember those moments more vividly than your mind does. You might find yourself flinching at certain types of contact or craving others without knowing the reason. That's the body's way of saying, this mattered. This was written deeply, and we have not forgotten. This is also why, in healing, touch can be so transformative. A kind embrace, a gentle hand, the weight of another person's presence. It can rewrite old patterns, soothe old fears. The brain is capable of reassociating old sensations with new meanings. It can learn to let go of pain when it feels safe again. But not all touch has to be profound to be remembered. There are small, seemingly insignificant sensations that still find a place in the fabric of your memory. The feel of your favorite childhood toy, the rough bark of a tree you used to climb, the texture of the couch where you used to sit after school. These touches, these physical sensations were part of your world. And so your brain quietly wove them into the background of your identity. In dreams too, these memories can reappear. You might dream of a hug you haven't felt in years, of water on your skin, of floating, of falling. The sensations are real in the dream, as though your mind has reached back and pulled the memory not from thought, but from feeling itself. And even when you are awake, your hands carry memories. They move with familiarity over buttons, brushes, pages. They remember how to type, to cook, to tie shoelaces. These are procedural memories, skills stored not in your conscious mind, but in your motor cortex. You may not remember learning them, but your hands do. Touch is one of the most intimate ways your brain stays connected to your past. It doesn't need to be spoken. It doesn't need to be understood. It simply needs to be felt. And so tonight, as you lie down, feel the fabric of your sheets, the weight of your blanket, the warmth of the space you've created. Your body recognizes these sensations. Your brain logs them gently, adding them to your quiet history. Another page in the unspoken journal of touch. Let it comfort you. Let it remind you that even if memories fade from the mind, they often live on in the body. And sometimes, the softest touch can awaken the deepest memory, not as a thought, but as a truth you feel all the way to your bones. Time does not pass in your brain the way clocks measure it. Seconds and minutes may tick forward with mechanical precision, but inside your mind, time flows like a river with changing currents, sometimes slow and heavy, sometimes fast and wild, sometimes pausing altogether in still pools of memory. You felt this before. An afternoon spent doing something joyful seems to vanish in an instant. A moment of pain stretches endlessly. A childhood summer feels vast, infinite, while the last 5 years may seem to have disappeared in a blink. The truth is, your brain does not experience time equally. It remembers it differently, stores it differently, and feels it differently depending on where you are in life, how you're feeling, and what you're doing. The perception of time is constructed in the brain by a collection of regions, primarily the prefrontal cortex, the cerebellum, and the basal ganglia. These areas monitor patterns, rhythms, changes in internal and external states. But time in the brain is not a straight line. It is built on experience, not precision. When you are young, everything is new. Each day is filled with firsts, new tastes, new places, new emotions. Your brain pays close attention to novelty. Every unfamiliar sensation gets recorded in rich detail. These moments stack up, and so time feels full. That's why childhood seems to stretch on forever. Your memory is densely packed with experience. As you get older, life becomes more routine. Your brain becomes more efficient. It begins to filter out what it already knows, storing fewer details of repeated activities. One commute blends into the next. Weeks pass with the same meals, the same rooms, the same conversations. The days feel short and the years go by quickly, not because they are shorter, but because your brain is no longer recording them with the same intensity. In this way, your memory shapes your perception of time. It is not the passage of minutes that gives time weight. It is the number of moments you remember. Time feels longer when more memories are made, and it feels short when memory goes quiet. Emotion also bends time. When you're afraid, your brain becomes hyper-aware. Everything sharpens. Your body tenses, your senses heighten, and each second seems to slow down. This is not an illusion. It's a survival mechanism. Your brain floods with adrenaline and absorbs more detail, making the moment feel longer in retrospect. That's why near-miss accidents or moments of danger seem to stretch into slow motion. Time doesn't change, but your experience of it does. Joy can do the opposite. Laughter, love, creativity. These states absorb you so completely that you lose track of time. Hours disappear in what feels like moments. Psychologists call this flow, a state where the self vanishes and time with it. And afterward, your memory may hold only highlights, brief flashes of a deeper experience. There are also the moments that stand still, times of grief, times of awe, a death in the family, a breathtaking sunset, a moment of stillness in the woods. These moments seem to exist outside of time, untouched by its usual rules. They sit in your memory like islands, untouched by the current, vivid and complete. But the most mysterious effect of time on memory is this. The mind does not always obey chronology. A smell can bring back a childhood memory with more clarity than something that happened last week. A song can awaken a feeling from years ago with such force that it eclipses the present. These are not linear journeys. These are leaps across time. Your dreams are full of these leaps. You may be your present self in a room from your past. You may speak to someone long gone, as if no time has passed at all. In dreams, time loses meaning. And perhaps this is closer to how your brain really experiences life. Not as a sequence, but as a web, where memories and moments connect across invisible threads. And when the mind begins to lose memory, whether through aging, trauma, or disease, time itself begins to unravel. Days lose their order. Events float out of sequence. A person with dementia may speak to someone as if it is 1982, not because they are confused, but because that moment has returned to the front of the mind. Time, to them, has folded in on itself. And in a strange way, it reminds us that chronological time is a construct. What matters more is what feels real now. But despite the distortions, there is comfort in knowing your brain does remember the moments that mattered. Not always clearly, not always logically, but the feeling remains. The smell of the rain, the way someone looked at you, the light in a certain room. These moments become landmarks in your personal sense of time. So tonight, if you find yourself reflecting on time, how fast it's moving, how distant your memories feel, pause and take a breath. Think not in years, but in moments. Not in months, but in memories. Time will always move forward, but the richness of your life is measured not by its length, but by the depth of what you remember, and how deeply those memories shaped you. Let your mind drift backward now, to a time that felt slow and beautiful. A day you once wished would never end. Let it rise in your memory like a soft light through a window. Time may move, but the mind remembers in stillness. And in that stillness, nothing is ever truly gone. Pleasure fades quietly. It visits, it delights, and then it moves on. But pain, especially emotional pain, has a different nature. It lingers, it leaves marks, it echoes, and most curiously, it's often the one your brain chooses to keep. You may struggle to remember the details of a joyful afternoon, but the moment your heart broke, or the words that wounded you, or the time you felt truly alone, those remain. Not just in your memory, but in your body, your nervous system, and the patterns of your thoughts. Why does the brain do this? Why does it seem to hold on to pain more tightly than happiness? There is a reason, buried deep in the architecture of survival. From an evolutionary standpoint, pain teaches. It warns. It protects. A creature that remembers the sting of a bee or the burn of a flame is less likely to repeat the mistake. Pain carves itself into memory because it's trying to keep you alive. It's not cruelty, it's caution, a form of emotional armor. But in the human mind, pain goes far beyond physical injury. Emotional pain, rejection, betrayal, humiliation, grief, triggers the same pain centers in the brain as physical wounds. The anterior cingulate cortex, which lights up when you stub your toe, also lights up when someone breaks your heart. The brain doesn't distinguish much between physical danger and social danger. To the mind, both mean something is wrong, and it must be remembered. This is why you can relive an emotional wound years after it happened. The situation has changed. The people may be long gone, but the feeling is as sharp as ever. Your body tenses, your stomach knots, your breath shallows. You may even cry without knowing why. That memory, embedded with pain, reactivates as though it were still fresh. Painful memories are often replayed in a loop, not because your brain enjoys suffering, but because it's trying to process, to find closure, to understand. This is the mind's attempt at mastery. If I revisit it enough, maybe it will make sense. Maybe I'll know how to avoid it next time. But sometimes, there is no clear lesson. Some pain simply is. And yet, the brain keeps it close, hoping for resolution. Meanwhile, joy is often fleeting, even in memory. When you're happy, the brain doesn't feel the same urgency to record every detail. There is no threat, no alarm. You're safe, you're satisfied. So the mind relaxes. It doesn't cling. It allows the moment to be lived fully, but not necessarily stored in sharp detail. That's why we often say things like, "That was the best day, but I can't quite remember what we talked about." The brain was too immersed in the feeling to take notes. However, this does not mean that your joyful memories are lost. They are simply stored differently, often less as detailed narratives and more as impressions, warmth, light, comfort. A smile you can still feel. A place that makes you breathe more deeply. A moment of belonging that lingers, not in clear memory, but in a subtle shift in who you became. But pain writes in bold. It shapes behavior, beliefs, even identity. A single painful comment in childhood can lead to years of self-doubt. A moment of betrayal can alter your ability to trust. Pain teaches quickly, deeply, and thoroughly. And while this can be a burden, it is also how humans learn resilience. Still, not all pain is useful. Some become stuck. When a painful memory repeats over and over with no resolution, it becomes trauma. trauma is memory frozen in time, trapped in the nervous system, always alert, always preparing for a threat that may never come. In this case, the brain's habit of remembering pain turns against you. The memory, instead of teaching, starts to control. But even here, healing is possible. Through therapy, reflection, safety, and time, the brain can learn to reprocess these memories. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to change, means that even the sharpest memories of pain can soften. They don't vanish, but they lose their edge. They become a part of your story, not the whole of it. And here is the hidden truth. Some of the deepest joy in life comes after pain. The first laugh after a long sadness. The first morning that feels light again. The moment you realize the wound no longer hurts as it once did. These are subtle, sacred memories, and your brain does record them. Not because they were loud, but because they were meaningful. Sometimes a painful memory fades on its own. Other times it transforms. You return to a place where you once cried, and now you find peace. You hear a song that once made you ache, and now it brings understanding. These are signs that your brain and your heart are healing. The memory is still there, but you are different now. So tonight, if an old pain returns, if a memory rises that makes your chest tighten, greet it gently. Know that your brain isn't broken. It's trying to protect you. It's trying to make sense of something that once hurt. Let the memory pass through you like a wave. You don't have to hold on to it. You don't have to fear it. Just feel it, then let it go. And if you can, recall a quiet joy, a peaceful moment, a feeling of safety, however small. These are in you too, and though your brain may not shout them as loudly, they are there, soft, constant, waiting for you to remember. There is a peculiar sensation that sometimes catches you off guard, a fleeting feeling that you have experienced this exact moment before, that you have walked this path, said these words, or stood in this place previously, even though your conscious mind insists you have not. This is déjà vu, a French term meaning already seen, and it remains one of the most mysterious phenomena of human memory. The experience is often brief, but striking. You might be speaking with a friend, passing a street corner, or simply sitting quietly, when suddenly, a wave of familiarity washes over you. Your brain whispers, "You've been here before." And yet, rational thought quickly reminds you, this must be impossible. This moment is new. This place is unfamiliar. How can you remember something you never actually experienced? Scientists have long studied déjà vu to understand what it reveals about memory and the brain. One leading theory is that it arises from a momentary glitch in the brain's memory processing systems, a brief overlap between short-term and long-term memory pathways. Imagine your brain as a finely tuned orchestra where every instrument plays in harmony. Sometimes, a note is played slightly off timing, and the music briefly loops back on itself. This misfire can create the eerie sense of familiarity. Another theory suggests that déjà vu is caused by a split-second delay in the brain's processing of sensory information. If one part of the brain registers an experience a fraction of a second before another, it might feel like the second processing is a replay, a memory, rather than a present moment. This delay is so brief, it goes unnoticed, but the resulting sensation feels like a glimpse into a past you never actually lived. More fascinating still is the idea that déjà vu is connected to implicit memory, the vast storehouse of experiences your brain records without your conscious awareness. Perhaps you have encountered similar sights, sounds, or patterns before, but only peripherally. Your brain recognizes these subtle echoes, triggering a sense of recognition even when you cannot consciously place the source. It is as if your mind is telling you, "This feels familiar," because it is connected to something you once knew. Some researchers believe déjà vu might even hint at the brain's attempt to piece together fragmented memories, filling in gaps with feelings of familiarity to create a coherent sense of experience. It is the brain's way of stitching together the tapestry of life, sometimes revealing the invisible threads that bind moments together. For those who experience déjà vu often, it can feel like a window into another dimension of time, an almost mystical glimpse beyond ordinary perception. It raises questions about how we experience reality and the nature of memory itself. Is memory always linear, or does it ripple and fold in ways we cannot yet fully understand? Interestingly, déjà vu is most common in young adults and tends to decrease with age. This may be because the youthful brain is still refining its memory systems, or perhaps because life's novelty diminishes with time, reducing the frequency of these uncanny moments. The rarity of déjà vu only adds to its allure, a whisper from the depths of the mind that teases the boundary between past and present. While déjà vu can be delightful or strange, it can also be unsettling. It reminds us that memory is not a perfect record, but a living, breathing process, sometimes flawed, sometimes mysterious, always dynamic. Our brains do not simply store facts, they create a narrative of experience, weaving together feelings, senses, and impressions to make sense of the world. In literature and philosophy, déjà vu has inspired reflections on fate, time loops, and the soul's journey. Some see it as evidence that our lives are connected in ways beyond reason, that moments repeat in cycles, or that memory transcends the confines of time. Whether déjà vu is a glitch, a memory echo, or something more profound, it reminds us that memory is not just about what we remember consciously. It is about the invisible dance beneath awareness, the subtle currents that shape our sense of self and place. Tonight, as you drift towards sleep, pay attention to those flickers of familiarity that rise unbidden. They are your brain's quiet invitations to explore the hidden realms of memory, reminding you that beneath the surface of forgetting, something always remembers, always whispers, always connects. Some memories are like shadows, always present, yet hidden in places you rarely visit, especially those born from trauma or deep distress. These memories don't simply fade away with time. Instead, they retreat into the darker corners of your mind, tucked away behind doors your conscious self cannot easily open. They are buried not because you want to forget, but because your brain is trying to protect you. When you experience something deeply painful or overwhelming, an accident, loss, abuse, or fear, the mind reacts not only with shock, but with a powerful defense mechanism: dissociation. This means that part of your consciousness disconnects from the immediate experience to prevent you from being overwhelmed. While this is life-saving in the moment, it also means the memory of the event can become fragmented, distorted, or hidden entirely. Unlike ordinary memories, traumatic memories often lack the usual narrative flow. They may exist as isolated images, sounds, smells, or feelings, without a clear beginning or end. Your brain stores them in ways that are difficult to access consciously, but they remain alive in the body and subconscious mind. You might find yourself inexplicably anxious, tense, or fearful, with no clear idea why. The memory is there, but it is waiting for the right moment, the right safety to surface. This hiding of trauma is a survival tactic. Your brain's priority is to keep you safe, not just physically, but psychologically. By placing traumatic memories out of immediate awareness, it helps you carry on with life without being paralyzed by fear or pain. It is a form of self-preservation, allowing the rest of your mind to function even when some parts are still broken. Yet, these hidden memories are never truly gone. They influence your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors in subtle ways. You might react strongly to certain triggers, sounds, places, people, without understanding why. These reactions come from the buried memory trying to warn you, trying to communicate. It is your brain's way of keeping you alert to danger, even if the danger is long past. Therapists and neuroscientists have discovered that trauma is stored not just as memory, but physically, in the nervous system. Your body remembers what your conscious mind has forgotten. This explains why trauma can manifest as chronic tension, pain, or illness. It is as if the body is holding onto the memory, waiting for release. Healing begins when these hidden memories can be safely brought into the light. This process is often gradual and requires trust, safety, and sometimes professional support. Techniques like trauma-focused therapy, EMDR, somatic experiencing, and mindfulness help the brain reprocess these memories, integrating them into a more coherent narrative. When this happens, the memory loses its power to control and can become a part of your story rather than its definition. Sometimes the memory surfaces unexpectedly, in a dream, a flash of image, a sudden emotion. It can be frightening, confusing, or painful, but these moments are also opportunities, windows into the parts of yourself that need healing and understanding. When you approach these memories with compassion and patience, your brain can begin to rewrite their meaning. This is not forgetting trauma, but transforming it. It is not erasing pain, but learning to live alongside it without being overwhelmed. It is reclaiming your mind and body from the shadows where memory once hid. And there is hope in this. The brain is plastic. It can change, adapt, and heal. The hidden memory is not a sentence, but a chapter that can evolve. With time, care, and courage, what once was locked away can become a source of strength and wisdom. Tonight, as you rest, let your mind know it is safe. Even the parts that have been silent for years are welcome here. The shadows can be met gently, and the memories that were hidden can begin to breathe again, in light, in peace, in healing. When night falls and your body sinks into the gentle embrace of sleep, your brain begins a remarkable process, one that few fully understand, but that is vital to your mental and emotional well-being. As your conscious mind fades, a hidden world awakens. Your brain turns into a tireless librarian, sorting, filing, and sometimes discarding the countless moments you have experienced throughout the day. During sleep, especially in deep stages known as slow wave sleep and REM sleep, your brain reviews the day's memories. It does not treat them all equally. Some experiences are carefully preserved and integrated into your long-term memory, while others are quietly released, allowed to fade like leaves drifting from a tree. This nightly filing system is essential because your mind cannot hold every detail forever. Without this process, your mental space would become overcrowded, making it difficult to focus or learn new things. This sorting is not random. Your brain prioritizes memories based on emotion, relevance, and usefulness. Experiences charged with strong feelings, whether joy, fear, excitement, or sadness, are more likely to be strengthened and remembered. These emotional tags act like bookmarks, signaling that these moments carry importance. Meanwhile, mundane, repetitive details may be pruned away, clearing room for fresh information tomorrow. This quiet work also helps regulate your emotions. By replaying certain memories in sleep, your brain processes feelings in a safe environment. It allows you to revisit difficult or confusing experiences without the immediate pressure of waking life. Over time, this can reduce the intensity of negative emotions and help you understand yourself better. Dreams often emerge from this process, weaving together fragments of memories and feelings in strange but meaningful ways. Sleep also strengthens the neural connections associated with learned skills and habits. If you've practiced a new task during the day, playing an instrument, learning a language, mastering a recipe, your brain replays these actions during sleep, reinforcing the pathways that make the skill smoother and more automatic. This is why rest is crucial for true learning and improvement. Interestingly, your brain continues this filing even when your mind is silent and your body still. This unseen activity is a testament to the complexity of the mind, a reminder that memory is not just about holding on to facts, but about maintaining balance and preparing you for the future. At the same time, sleep allows your brain to forget selectively. Not every memory is meant to last. Some serve their purpose and then quietly disappear. This forgetting is as important as remembering. It prevents overload and helps keep your mind clear. The brain's ability to forget is not failure, it is wisdom. This process of filing, sorting, and forgetting is ongoing. Every night, your brain rewrites the narrative of your life, choosing what to keep close and what to let go. It weaves the tapestry of your memory not as a static record, but as a living story, one that grows, changes, and adapts. So as you close your eyes and drift into sleep tonight, know that your brain is still hard at work. It is protecting your memories, calming your emotions, and preparing you for the day to come. It is a quiet guardian of your inner world, tirelessly organizing the moments that make you who you are. In this way, even as you forget, your brain remembers. It holds the echoes of your life gently, wisely, and with endless care, helping you move forward, rest peacefully, and dream freely. Sometimes, words fade, faces blur, and the details of conversations slip away like sand through your fingers. Yet, from the depths of your mind, forgotten conversations have a way of resurfacing, unexpected, vivid, and often laden with meaning you didn't grasp before. These fragments come back not as neat dialogues, but as echoes, a tone of voice, a gesture, a laugh, or a phrase repeated in the quiet moments of your day or in the stillness of your dreams. These forgotten conversations reveal how deeply memory works beneath awareness. Unlike written records or recorded sounds, conversations are living things. They are emotional exchanges, subtle dances of expression, intention, and response. Your brain does not simply store the words you spoke. It stores how those words made you feel. The hesitation before an apology, the warmth in a whispered encouragement, the sharp edge of criticism, all are etched into the fabric of your mind. Often, these memories lie dormant because your conscious self wasn't ready to process them fully at the time. Maybe the conversation was difficult, or left you confused, or happened during a moment when your attention was divided. The brain, recognizing the complexity or emotional weight, tucks the memory away, allowing it to rest until you are ready to face it again. When these forgotten conversations reappear, they can bring insight or healing. You might suddenly recall something your grandmother told you years ago, a simple piece of advice or a phrase of love that you had dismissed at the time but now resonates deeply. Or you may remember a harsh word from a friend or parent, and with distance and maturity, understand it differently. The re-emergence of these moments gives you a chance to reinterpret and make peace. Neuroscientists know that conversation memories involve multiple brain regions. The auditory cortex processes the sounds. The language centers interpret meaning. The limbic system tags emotional significance. And the prefrontal cortex stores and retrieves these experiences. The complexity of this network means that parts of the memory can be lost or separated. Your brain may remember the tone, but not the exact words, or the feeling, but not the context. Sometimes, a forgotten conversation surfaces not fully formed, but as a question or a feeling, a lingering doubt, a sense of unfinished business. This can inspire reflection or even prompt you to reach out to someone seeking clarity or closure. In this way, memory is not static, but dynamic, a bridge connecting past and present, inviting growth. These resurfacing conversations also illustrate the brain's remarkable ability to filter experience. While you may forget everyday chatter, your mind selectively preserves moments that shaped your emotional world, moments where connection, conflict, or understanding were forged. The forgotten words that return are often those that mattered most. And in dreams, these conversations come alive in new ways. You may find yourself speaking with someone from your past, hearing words you never heard before, or saying things you wish you had said. Dreams can offer a stage for your mind to process and rehearse these exchanges, sometimes providing insight or relief. The brain's way of holding on to conversations is deeply tied to your relationships. Voices of loved ones become part of your inner world, echoing in your thoughts, comforting or challenging you. Even after people have gone from your life, their words can linger, shaping your sense of self and your story. So when a forgotten conversation surfaces, perhaps unexpectedly as you walk down a street or during a quiet moment of reflection, pause and listen. It's more than memory. It's a message, a reminder that your mind keeps the dialogues of your life alive, ready to teach, heal, and guide when the time is right. Tonight, as your thoughts soften and your mind drifts, let these echoes come gently. Let the voices of your past whisper softly. In their quiet return, you may find pieces of yourself you thought were lost, waiting patiently to be heard again. Memories aren't only shaped by sights and sounds. They can be summoned by something far more elusive, a scent. Often unnoticed in our busy lives, smell has an extraordinary ability to reach deep into the recesses of the mind, awakening long-forgotten feelings and moments. Phantom smells, those fleeting, sometimes inexplicable aromas, are a mysterious phenomenon that reveal just how intricately our brains weave memory and sensation together. Imagine walking into a room and suddenly catching a whiff of a perfume you haven't smelled in years. It might be the scent of lavender from your grandmother's garden, the faint aroma of smoke from a campfire, or the spicy warmth of cinnamon from holiday baking. Even if you can't see or remember the source clearly, the scent triggers something deep inside. A flash of nostalgia, a surge of warmth, or even a pang of sadness. Phantom smells often arise without an obvious cause. Sometimes they appear in quiet moments, as if your brain is sending a secret message from the past. Other times, they are linked to memories buried so deep they have never fully surfaced. These scents are not hallucinations or tricks. Rather, they are the brain's way of reconnecting with forgotten threads of experience. The connection between smell and memory is rooted in the brain's anatomy. The olfactory system, the network that processes smell, is closely linked to the limbic system, home to emotions and memory. When you inhale a scent, the olfactory bulb sends signals directly to the amygdala and hippocampus, regions that manage fear, pleasure, and memory formation. This direct pathway bypasses the logical, language-based parts of your brain, which is why smells can evoke feelings and images instantly, often without explanation. Phantom smells may also occur during transitions between waking and sleep, in moments when the brain is more fluid and open to subtle signals. During these times, your mind may sift through sensory memories, bringing scents to the surface as part of its ongoing process of sorting and integrating experience. Sometimes these scents are comforting, a hint of rain on dry earth, the smell of fresh bread baking. Other times they may be unsettling, linked to trauma or loss. These elusive scents serve as invisible bookmarks in your life story. They remind you of who you were, where you've been, and the emotions you have carried. Even if you cannot place them consciously, they are part of your inner landscape, quietly shaping how you feel and remember. In rare cases, phantom smells can also signal changes in brain health or sensory function. But most often, they are natural echoes, whispers from the depths of your mind that surface unexpectedly, carrying pieces of the past into the present. The next time an unexpected scent brushes past you, a perfume, a flower, the faintest trace of smoke, pause and breathe it in. Let your mind wander. Where does it take you? What feelings rise? You may find yourself standing in a forgotten place, recalling a moment you hadn't thought about in years. The scent is a bridge, connecting you across time to your own history. In this way, phantom smells remind us that memory is not just about what we see or hear. It is woven into the very air around us, carried on invisible currents that flow through our brains and hearts. These quiet, sensory echoes invite us to listen deeply to the world, to ourselves, and to the memories waiting silently to be remembered once more. The mind is a remarkable filter, endlessly sifting through the endless flood of experiences, sensations, and information that life presents. But it cannot hold on to everything. Some memories are vivid and clear, while others fade into the background or vanish entirely. This selective forgetting is not a flaw, it is a crucial feature of how the brain functions. The brain practices a form of selective amnesia, a quiet, intelligent process that determines what to keep and what to let go, shaping your sense of self and your experience of the world. Selective amnesia is the brain's way of protecting you from overload. Imagine trying to carry every detail of every day in your conscious mind, the countless conversations, the myriad sights, the endless feelings. It would be overwhelming, exhausting, and ultimately paralyzing. To function well, the brain must decide which memories are essential and which are expendable. This decision is guided by factors like emotional significance, frequency, novelty, and relevance to your goals and identity. For example, routine experiences often slip into the background. You might not remember the exact details of your morning commute from last week because your brain has deemed those moments as familiar and unchanging. Instead, it files them away as general knowledge or habits, freeing your conscious mind to focus on new or important information. Emotional salience plays a large role. Memories tied to strong feelings, whether joy, fear, anger, or sadness, are more likely to be retained. These emotional tags act as signals that a moment mattered deeply. Conversely, memories of neutral or uneventful experiences are more prone to being forgotten. This is why the brain can vividly recall a traumatic event years later, but forget what you had for lunch yesterday. Interestingly, selective amnesia is not always conscious. It often happens automatically and without awareness. Your brain silently prunes the vast forest of memory, cutting away the undergrowth to allow the tallest trees, the most meaningful memories, to grow strong. This pruning process happens both during wakefulness and especially during sleep, when your brain reorganizes and consolidates memories. Sometimes, forgetting is protective. The brain may suppress or block out painful or disturbing memories to shield you from psychological harm. This defense mechanism helps maintain emotional balance and mental health. However, when suppression is too strong, it can lead to dissociation or unresolved trauma, where memories remain hidden but continue to affect you. Selective amnesia also contributes to the fluidity of identity. Because your memories are constantly shifting, some fading, some resurfacing, you are not a fixed self, but a living narrative, continuously rewritten. This flexibility allows growth, healing, and change. You are free to let go of limiting beliefs or painful pasts, making space for new experiences and understandings. At times, memories thought lost may return unexpectedly, a familiar face in a dream, a forgotten fact triggered by a smell, a long-buried conversation that suddenly comes to mind. These moments reveal the dynamic nature of memory. Even when the brain seems to have forgotten, traces remain, waiting for the right key to unlock them. Understanding selective amnesia helps us accept that forgetting is not failure, but function. It reminds us that our brains are not perfect recorders, but artists, shaping a meaningful story from the chaos of experience. Forgetting allows us to live fully in the present, without being weighed down by every detail of the past. So when you find yourself unable to recall something, whether a name, a place, or an event, know that your brain is working as it should. It is choosing what to hold and what to release, guiding you toward clarity, focus, and emotional balance. Tonight, as you rest, allow your mind to let go of what no longer serves you. Trust that the memories you need will remain, gently preserved in the folds of your consciousness. And know that forgetting is part of the beautiful, intricate dance of memory that makes you who you are, ever changing, ever growing, ever alive. Have you ever walked into a room and suddenly found yourself standing there, momentarily blank, wondering why you came in at all? You might have intended to fetch a glass of water, check a message, or grab your keys, but the moment you step through the door, your mind goes silent, and the purpose slips away like a whisper on the wind. This common experience isn't just forgetfulness or distraction. It's a fascinating window into how memory and attention work together in the brain. and why sometimes you forget why you walked into a room. The brain manages countless streams of information every second. External sights, sounds, smells, as well as internal thoughts, feelings, and intentions. To function smoothly, it prioritizes what to focus on and what to momentarily set aside. When you decide to walk into a room to get something, your brain forms an intention, a kind of mental note. But this intention is fragile. It depends on your attention staying focused as you move through space. Often, as you cross the threshold into a new room, your brain switches context. The environment changes. The sensory input shifts. Your attention is drawn to new sights and sounds, and the original intention competes with this fresh wave of information. Sometimes the new environment effectively resets your focus, and the original goal is temporarily lost in the shuffle. This phenomenon is linked to what cognitive scientists call the event boundary effect. When you move from one environment to another, a doorway, a new room, even a change in scenery, your brain treats it as a natural dividing line. It segments your experience into episodes, marking a transition. While this helps organize memory and perception, it can also interrupt short-term goals. Another factor is working memory, the brain's limited capacity system that holds information temporarily for active use. Your working memory can only juggle so many items at once. If, as you enter the room, your attention is pulled by a distracting thought, a new stimulus, or fatigue, your original intention can fall out of this mental spotlight. The memory is not gone, it is just out of reach for a moment. Interestingly, this type of forgetting is usually brief. Often, after a pause, your brain retrieves the original intention, sometimes triggered by a sensory cue in the room, like seeing the water glass, or by a moment of reflection. The goal pops back into awareness. You realize, oh yes, I came in to get water. This suggests that the memory was never truly lost, just momentarily displaced. This experience also reveals something deeper about how the brain balances automatic and controlled processes. Walking into a familiar room often becomes automatic, freeing up mental resources. But when the brain automatically shifts focus at the doorway, it may fail to maintain your conscious goal, leading to temporary forgetting. Fatigue, stress, and multitasking can exacerbate this effect. When your brain is tired or overloaded, its ability to maintain focus and manage working memory diminishes. This is why you may find yourself more forgetful when exhausted or anxious. On a more poetic note, this everyday lapse reminds us of the fluidity of consciousness. Our minds are not always continuous streams, but can be segmented, interrupted, and renewed. Forgetting why you entered a room is not a failure, but a glimpse into the dynamic dance of attention and memory. Some have suggested this phenomenon is a form of cognitive reset, giving your brain a brief pause to shift gears. It allows the mind to clear clutter and prepare for new tasks. In this way, forgetting can be functional, a natural part of mental organization. So next time you find yourself standing in a room, wondering why you came, take a breath. Trust that your brain is doing its complex work, filtering, segmenting, prioritizing. Give yourself a moment. Often the answer will come back with gentle clarity. This little everyday mystery is a reminder that memory is not just storage. It is an active, living process, intertwined with attention, environment, and state of mind. And sometimes, in the quiet pause of forgetting, your brain is simply making space for what comes next. Memory is not just a static collection of facts stored neatly in your brain. Instead, it is a dynamic, fluid experience that often expresses itself in symbols, images, and feelings, especially when it slips beyond conscious reach. The hidden language of memory, particularly as it emerges in dreams, invites you to explore your inner world beyond words. A world where meaning is felt rather than spoken, where the mind communicates in images and sensations rather than sentences. When you fall asleep, your brain begins to weave together fragments of your waking experiences, snippets of conversations, flashes of faces, sensations, and emotions, into complex stories that don't always follow logical rules. These dreams are a language of the unconscious, where memories speak through metaphor, allegory, and symbol. Your mind is not telling you a straightforward story, but rather sending you messages encoded in images that often require interpretation, reflection, and patience. For example, a dream about being chased might symbolize a real-life feeling of anxiety or avoidance. A house in a dream might represent the self, with different rooms reflecting parts of your personality or memories. Water often symbolizes emotions. Calm lakes suggest peace. Turbulent seas point to inner turmoil. These symbols are part of a shared language of the mind, but are also deeply personal, shaped by your unique experiences. This hidden language allows memory to express what words cannot. Sometimes, memories are too complex, painful, or confusing to be processed consciously. Dreams provide a safe space where these difficult memories can be played out in disguise. Your mind uses metaphor and symbol to approach what the conscious self might avoid, allowing emotional processing and insight. Neuroscience has shown that during REM sleep, when most vivid dreaming occurs, the brain's prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for logical reasoning, is less active. At the same time, the limbic system, which governs emotions and memory, is highly engaged. This imbalance encourages free-flowing, emotional, and symbolic dreaming rather than linear thought. Dreams tap directly into emotional memory, creating a canvas for the unconscious to paint its stories. Interpreting these symbols can be a powerful way to connect with buried memories and emotions. When you recall a dream, consider what feelings it evoked, rather than just the literal content. What does the symbol mean to you personally? How does it relate to your current life? This reflective practice can unlock new understandings, heal old wounds, and reveal patterns invisible in waking life. Importantly, this language of memory is universal, yet unique. While many cultures have developed rich traditions of dream interpretation, seeing dreams as messages from the soul, guides to the future, or reflections of the spirit, the meaning of symbols often varies with personal history and context. Your dream about water might mean freedom to one person and fear to another, depending on their experiences. This symbolic language is not limited to sleep. Daydreams, spontaneous images, sudden memories, or creative flashes are also expressions of this hidden communication. When a memory or feeling arises suddenly, without words, it might be your unconscious speaking in this ancient tongue. Learning to listen to this language with curiosity and kindness opens a path to deeper self-awareness. It invites you to embrace the mysteries of your mind, to welcome the images and feelings that emerge unbidden, and to trust that your inner world is rich with wisdom, waiting to be understood. So tonight, as you close your eyes and journey into sleep, be open to the symbols and stories that arise. Let the hidden language of memory unfold in its own time and form. In dreams, your mind speaks softly, but profoundly, offering insights not through words, but through the beautiful, mysterious poetry of the unconscious. Emotions are the colors that paint your memories, turning simple moments into vivid, lasting experiences. When you recall an event, it is often the feeling attached to it, the joy, the fear, the sadness, that stays with you most clearly, more than the precise details. This is because emotions etch themselves deeply into the brain's memory systems, acting like highlighters that signal importance and shape how memories are stored and recalled. Your brain is wired to prioritize emotional experiences. When something happens that stirs strong feelings, your body responds with chemical signals. Hormones like adrenaline and cortisol flood your system, activating the amygdala, a key part of the brain involved in processing emotion and memory. The amygdala then interacts with the hippocampus, which encodes memories, ensuring that emotionally charged events are stamped with greater intensity. This biological process explains why you might remember your first day of school, a heartbreak, or a moment of triumph more vividly than the routine details of daily life. The emotional charge amplifies the memory, making it more likely to be recalled even years later. Moreover, emotions influence not just how strongly memories are stored, but also how they are organized. Memories linked by similar emotions tend to cluster together, forming networks that shape your personal narrative. A series of happy events may build a sense of optimism and confidence, while repeated experiences of fear or sadness might contribute to anxiety or caution. Your emotional memory forms the foundation of your identity, coloring how you interpret new experiences. Interestingly, the influence of emotion on memory is a two-way street. Not only do emotions strengthen memories, but recalling a memory can also reactivate the emotions originally felt. When you think about a joyful moment, your brain can recreate some of the happiness you experienced. Similarly, recalling a painful event might bring back the ache as if it were happening anew. This re-experiencing is why memories can feel so alive and impactful. This connection also explains why some memories are difficult to revisit. When a memory carries intense negative emotion, your brain may resist accessing it because reliving the feeling can be distressing. In contrast, positive memories often come more readily, offering comfort and hope. Over time, emotional memories can also change. The feelings attached to an event may soften or transform as you gain new perspectives, heal wounds, or experience growth. Your brain can update the emotional tone of memories during sleep, reflection, or therapy, helping you reframe past experiences and reduce emotional pain. Understanding that emotions are the key to memory also offers insight into why storytelling, art, music, and rituals are so powerful. These expressions tap directly into emotional memory, helping people connect, remember, and make sense of their lives beyond facts and dates. In everyday life, paying attention to your feelings can help you strengthen meaningful memories and let go of those that no longer serve you. By cultivating awareness of emotional responses, you gain greater control over your personal narrative and well-being. So tonight, as you reflect on your day or drift into sleep, notice the emotions that arise with your memories. Let yourself feel them fully, the joy, the sorrow, the peace, or the tension. These emotions are not just reactions, they are the threads that weave your memories into the rich tapestry of your life, reminding you that to remember is to feel deeply, and to feel deeply is to truly live. Within the vast expanse of your mind lies an intricate map, a mental landscape shaped by memories of places you have known, spaces you have inhabited, and paths you have traveled. This map is more than just visual imagery. It is a complex internal representation that helps you navigate not only the physical world, but also your own sense of identity and safety. Your brain's map of familiar places is a foundational element of how you experience life, grounding you in time and space, and anchoring your memories. From childhood onward, your brain builds this map by encoding the details of your surroundings, the layout of your home, the winding streets of your neighborhood, the rooms where important moments unfolded. This spatial memory is stored largely within the hippocampus, a deep brain structure that acts as a hub for both memory and navigation. Neuroscientists often compare the hippocampus to a GPS device, one that not only tracks where you are, but also records the rich context of where you've been. These mental maps are not static. They evolve as you explore new places, meet new people, and have new experiences. Each landmark, the corner store, a favorite bench in the park, the route to school, becomes a node in your brain's internal geography, linked to the emotions and events that occurred there. This means that familiar places carry more than just spatial information. They are infused with the feelings of comfort, joy, fear, or nostalgia associated with your time spent there. When you return to a familiar place, your brain lights up with recognition, bringing forth memories tied to that location. This recognition can evoke a flood of emotions and images, transporting you back to past moments as vividly as if you were there again. The scent of a bakery on a street you grew up on, the creak of a favorite staircase, the particular pattern of sunlight in a room, these sensory details activate the map and all that it holds. Conversely, unfamiliar places can feel disorienting because your brain's map has not yet been filled in. The absence of known landmarks and pathways can trigger anxiety or caution. This is why traveling to new cities or moving to a new home can feel unsettling at first. Your brain is working to build new maps, to integrate new memories, and to create a sense of belonging. The relationship between place and memory is so powerful that it has been harnessed in mnemonic techniques for centuries. The method of Loti, or memory palace, is an ancient strategy where people imagine walking through a familiar building, placing pieces of information in specific locations to aid recall. This technique underscores how deeply spatial memory is tied to the way we remember. Our mental maps also shape our identity. The places we frequent, the environments where we feel safe or inspired, become extensions of ourselves. Losing access to familiar places, whether through moving, aging, or illness, can feel like losing a part of oneself. This connection highlights the importance of environment in mental health and well-being. In dreams, these familiar places often reappear, sometimes altered, sometimes exact, serving as stages for emotional processing and memory integration. Walking through a childhood home or revisiting a favorite park in a dream can evoke deep feelings and insights. Your brain's map of familiar places is a silent guide, helping you navigate not just the physical world, but the landscape of your past and present. It reminds you where you come from, who you are, and where you might go. So tonight, as you settle into rest, let your mind wander through these internal maps. Visit the rooms and streets that have shaped you, feel the comfort of familiar corners and the promise of new paths. In this mental journey, You are home, rooted in memory, open to discovery, and endlessly connected to the places that live within you. Sounds have a unique and profound ability to travel beyond mere noise and become carriers of memory, emotion, and meaning. The moment a familiar sound reaches your ears, it can unlock memories and feelings buried deep within your mind, often surprising you with their clarity and intensity. The sounds that never left you, whether a childhood lullaby, the rustle of leaves, or the distant call of a bird, serve as invisible threads weaving your past into the present. From your earliest days, your brain begins to map sounds in relation to experience. The cochlea in your ear translates vibrations into neural signals, which travel through intricate pathways to the auditory cortex, where they are interpreted. But sound processing doesn't stop there. Sounds often trigger activity in the limbic system, the brain's emotional center, linking auditory input directly to feelings and memory. This is why music, voices, and ambient sounds can evoke emotions even before you consciously recognize what you're hearing. Certain sounds become anchors in your personal history. The gentle hum of a parent's voice, the steady rhythm of footsteps on a wooden floor, or the crackling of a fireplace can carry layers of meaning. These sounds are not just heard, they are felt deeply, becoming part of your internal landscape. When you hear them again, they stir recollections and emotions as vividly as if you were reliving the moment. For many, the sounds of childhood linger in the brain long after the places and people have changed or gone. The sound of rain tapping on a window pane, the laughter of siblings in the next room, the chirping of birds at dawn. These are not simply noises but echoes of safety, belonging, and love. They comfort and ground you, even in times of stress or uncertainty. Sounds also have a way of encoding meaning beyond the immediate. The tone and cadence of a voice can communicate affection, anger, or sorrow, influencing how you remember conversations or relationships. A harsh word may echo with pain, while a soft whisper can soothe and heal. Your brain remembers not only the content, but the emotional weight carried by sound. Interestingly, even silence has its place in memory. Moments of quiet, especially in familiar settings, become part of the soundscape of your life. The absence of noise can be as powerful as its presence, signaling peace, anticipation, or sometimes loneliness. The contrast between sound and silence shapes how memories settle in the mind. Sounds can also trigger unexpected memories. A particular song playing on the radio may transport you to a specific summer afternoon. The beep of a microwave may remind you of family dinners. These sensory cues act as keys unlocking doors in the vast mansion of your memory. In dreams, sounds often surface in surprising ways. You might hear the call of a long-forgotten song, or the laughter of someone you haven't seen in years. These auditory fragments help your brain process emotions and experiences, bridging past and present. Your brain's intimate relationship with sound reveals how memory is not just visual or textual, but profoundly multisensory. The sounds that never left you are living parts of your story, quietly shaping your feelings, your identity, and your sense of place. Tonight, as you settle into sleep or find moments of stillness, listen closely. Let familiar sounds and silences wash over you. In their gentle resonance, you may find the comfort of old memories, the spark of forgotten moments, and the quiet assurance that your past is always with you, not just in your thoughts, but in the sounds that echo softly within. Long before you could speak, read, or understand language, your mind was already building memories. Memories without words, memories not tied to stories or facts, but to sensations, rhythms, and feelings. These early memories, held by infants and young children, form the foundation of your emotional life and shape how you relate to the world long before conscious recall begins. Memory without words is a silent, powerful force, guiding your instincts and shaping your sense of safety, trust, and connection. Infants experience the world largely through their senses: touch, sight, sound, taste, and smell. Every hug, every gaze, every tone of voice is recorded in the brain's sensory and emotional centers. These memories do not come with language to explain them. Instead, they exist as feelings: comfort, fear, curiosity, or distress. Even before you could say "Mom" or "Dad," your brain was storing these experiences, creating an emotional map of your earliest environment. Scientists have found that the brain structures responsible for memory, like the hippocampus, are not fully mature in infants, which partly explains why explicit, verbal memories from early childhood are rare or inaccessible. But other parts of the brain, such as the amygdala and sensory cortices, are active and form strong implicit memories. These memories influence how you respond to caregivers, how you form attachments, and how you regulate your emotions. This is why infants recognize their mother's voice and scent, even if they cannot understand words, why they find comfort in familiar rhythms and soothing touches. These early nonverbal memories build the foundation of trust and security. They teach the brain what it means to be safe, loved, and cared for. Memory without words also explains why some people feel deep emotional reactions to places, sounds, or sensations from early life that they cannot consciously recall. A certain lullaby might calm you without you remembering who sang it. A scent might evoke a sense of home, even if the details are lost. These memories live in the body and the unconscious mind, shaping your experience without ever needing to be named. Furthermore, this form of memory is essential for learning social and emotional skills. Babies learn to read facial expressions, tone of voice, and body language long before they understand language. These early impressions help you navigate relationships and develop empathy. They become the roots from which later, explicit memories grow. Interestingly, therapists working with adults often uncover these early pre-verbal memories through somatic and experiential techniques. People may carry unspoken memories of comfort or trauma in their bodies, sensations of warmth, tightness, or tension that influence behavior and emotional patterns decades later. As you grow and gain language, these implicit memories don't disappear. Rather, they integrate with your developing conscious memory, enriching your inner life. But the silent roots remain, guiding you in subtle ways. How you feel when someone touches your hand, how you respond to certain voices, how you seek comfort. In dreams, these pre-verbal memories sometimes surface as emotions or sensations without clear narrative. You might experience feelings of safety or fear that don't connect to specific events, but resonate deeply nonetheless. Understanding memory without words invites compassion for yourself and others. It reminds us that not all memories are neatly packaged in stories. Many are felt deeply, lived quietly, and carried invisibly. These are the memories that shape your heart before your mind even begins to understand. Tonight, as you close your eyes, listen to the silent language of your earliest memories, the rhythms of breath, the touch of your skin, the whisper of comfort and safety that still lives within. They are your foundation, your quiet strength, and the unseen threads woven into the fabric of who you are. Your brain is constantly recording, even when you think it's resting. From the moment you wake up until you close your eyes at night, every sensation, every thought, every fleeting feeling is being noted, catalogued, and stored. You might believe that memories require effort, attention, or conscious focus to take hold, but in reality, your brain never truly stops recording. It is a tireless archivist, working behind the scenes to build the complex mosaic of your experience. This continual recording happens on multiple levels. Some memories are explicit. You remember your friend's birthday, the last book you read, the conversation you had this morning. But far more memories are implicit, unconscious, or automatic. These include skills you've learned, patterns of behavior, emotional associations, and sensory impressions that influence your reactions without ever reaching conscious awareness. Even seemingly insignificant details are noted. The texture of a fabric brushing against your skin, the background hum of a cafe, the subtle shifts in a friend's tone of voice, all become part of your internal record. Your brain gathers this information silently, layering context and meaning in ways you may never consciously realize. This constant recording serves vital functions. It allows you to learn from experience, adapt to your environment, and build a coherent sense of self. The brain connects new information with existing memories, creating networks that help you navigate relationships, solve problems, and anticipate future events. Importantly, this process does not require perfect attention. In fact, much of it happens automatically without your conscious effort. Your brain filters and prioritizes information, focusing more on what is novel, emotionally charged, or relevant to survival, while letting routine details fade into the background. This selective recording ensures efficiency, preventing overload while preserving what matters most. Sleep plays a crucial role in this ongoing work. While you rest, your brain reviews the day's experiences, strengthening important memories and pruning less useful ones. It reorganizes the vast amounts of information collected, integrating new learning with older memories and preparing you for the challenges ahead. Even when you're distracted, stressed, or tired, your brain keeps recording. Though the quality and clarity of memories may suffer under these conditions, the underlying process continues. This resilience highlights how memory is not a single act, but a continuous flow. Sometimes, your brain's relentless recording reveals itself in surprising ways. A smell might trigger a forgotten moment, a song might evoke a long-lost emotion, or a familiar place might suddenly feel deeply meaningful. These moments are windows into the vast archive your brain maintains, reminders that even when you forget consciously, your mind remembers. This continuous recording also explains why you can develop instincts and intuition. Without fully knowing why, you might feel wary in a certain situation or drawn to a particular person. Your brain has silently noted subtle cues over time and uses these hidden memories to guide your behavior. Understanding that your brain never truly stops recording can inspire greater appreciation for the richness of your inner world. It reveals how your identity is built moment by moment, experience by experience, even when you aren't aware. So tonight, as you prepare to rest, trust in the quiet work of your mind. Know that it is recording your journey, not just the big events, but the small moments, the silent details, the invisible threads. All of these weave together the tapestry of who you are, holding your story with care, depth, and endless patience. There is a quiet background hum to your childhood, a subtle symphony of sounds, scents, and sensations that filled the spaces where you grew up. These elements, often unnoticed at the time, become woven into the fabric of your earliest memories, shaping your sense of safety, comfort, and belonging. This background noise of childhood is not just passive ambience. It is an active participant in how your brain encodes and recalls your formative years. Think back to the gentle rhythm of rain tapping on the roof, the distant murmur of neighbors talking, or the steady drone of a fan in a summer bedroom. These sounds provided a steady backdrop against which your experiences unfolded. Over time, your brain associated them with feelings of warmth, security, or sometimes unease. Even if you no longer consciously recall these sounds, they remain embedded in your memory, capable of evoking deep emotional responses. Similarly, the scent of freshly cut grass, the smell of your mother's cooking, or the unique aroma of your childhood home carry powerful emotional weight. These olfactory cues are strongly linked to memory because the brain's olfactory system is closely connected to the limbic system, the center of emotion and memory. A whiff of a familiar scent can transport you instantly back to a specific place or moment, stirring feelings you might have thought were lost. Textures and tactile sensations also contribute to this background noise. The roughness of a favorite blanket, the smoothness of a well-worn toy, or the coolness of tile floors on bare feet are sensations your brain recorded with quiet fidelity. These physical details, combined with sights and sounds, create a rich, multi-sensory tapestry that forms the invisible architecture of your early life. This background noise serves a critical function in childhood development. It provides consistency and predictability, which are essential for building a sense of safety and trust in the world. When these sensory cues are present and positive, they help regulate a child's emotions and support healthy brain development. Conversely, the absence of comforting background noise, or the presence of chaotic or distressing sounds and sensations, can contribute to feelings of insecurity or anxiety. As you grow, these early sensory memories often become the anchors of nostalgia. They are the quiet echoes that surface when you encounter similar sounds, smells, or textures later in life. Hearing the creak of a wooden floor can remind you of running through your childhood home. The smell of baking bread might evoke family gatherings long past. These connections remind you that your past is alive within you, carried not only in stories but in sensory experience. Sometimes, this background noise is subtle and goes unnoticed until something disrupts it, a sudden silence or an unfamiliar sound that makes you aware of how much you relied on those comforting patterns. At other times, these sensory memories emerge vividly, bringing back a flood of emotions and insights. In dreams, these sensory impressions often weave their way through your subconscious, blending with your current experiences to create complex emotional landscapes. The familiar sound of a lullaby, or the feel of a childhood blanket in a dream, can provide solace and connection, bridging past and present. Understanding the importance of your childhood's background noise deepens your appreciation for how memory and identity are formed. It shows that who you are is not only a collection of events, but also a mosaic of sensory experiences that have shaped your inner world in profound ways. So tonight, as you close your eyes, allow yourself to be wrapped in the gentle embrace of these quiet echoes. Listen for the faint sounds, breathe in the unseen scents, and feel the lingering textures of your past. In these small, silent moments, you reconnect with the foundation of your being, the background noise of your childhood that lives on, softly humming beneath the surface of your memories and dreams. The way your brain chooses to hold on to certain memories while letting others slip away can sometimes feel puzzling, especially when it comes to dates that society marks as important. Birthdays, anniversaries, or other significant calendar events often escape your conscious memory, slipping past your awareness like a breeze. Yet, oddly enough, your brain might still vividly remember the stories, emotions, and moments that surround these dates, even if the specific number or day seems lost to you. This selective remembering has much to do with how your brain processes information and prioritizes meaning over rote facts. Dates and numbers are abstract symbols. They require a particular kind of mental encoding that involves language centers and conscious effort to memorize. In contrast, stories and emotions are often encoded more naturally, deeply, and automatically, especially if they carry significance or involve strong feelings. For example, you might forget the exact date of a loved one's birthday, but recall the warmth of their smile, the sound of their laughter, or the way they surprised you with a thoughtful gift. These experiential details create rich, emotional memories that your brain is more inclined to preserve because they touch the core of your relationships and identity. Additionally, cultural emphasis and personal engagement play a role. If birthdays were celebrated with enthusiasm, rituals, and shared joy, the emotional charge strengthens the memory of the event's atmosphere and feelings. Conversely, if dates were acknowledged minimally or not at all, the brain may not encode them as important, leading to their fading from recall. The way memory and attention interact also influences this pattern. Remembering a date often requires intentional focus and rehearsal. Without active effort to encode and retrieve this information, dates can become fuzzy or forgotten, while the surrounding narrative remains intact because it was more deeply processed through emotion and meaning. Moreover, your brain organizes memories in networks, linking related information through associations. Stories, images, and feelings form clusters that are easier to access and recall than isolated facts. A birthday party, for instance, is remembered as a whole experience. The decorations, the people, the conversations, the feelings of celebration, not as a mere date on a calendar. This phenomenon is also related to how episodic memory functions. Episodic memory captures events in context, where you were, who you were with, what you were feeling. These rich, contextual memories tend to be more durable and accessible than semantic memories, which include facts and dates stored without context. Interestingly, forgetting exact dates can sometimes be beneficial. It frees your mind from rigid timelines and allows you to focus on the emotional essence of experiences. Your brain emphasizes what mattered to you personally, rather than what society deems important. This personal prioritization is part of what makes your memories unique and meaningful. However, if remembering specific dates is important to you, there are ways to enhance this ability, such as using calendars, reminders, or rituals that reinforce the association between the date and the event. Repeated attention and emotional engagement strengthen the neural pathways involved in recalling these facts. Ultimately, this balance between remembering stories and forgetting dates highlights the brain's wisdom. It chooses to preserve what shapes your inner world and identity, the emotions, connections, and meanings, while allowing the less vital details to gently fade. So next time you find yourself unsure of a birthday or anniversary, remember that your brain has not forgotten the heart of the experience. It has held on to the laughter, the love, the moments that truly matter. These are the memories that define you, quietly thriving beneath the surface of numbers and calendars. There are moments in life that slip away quietly, unnoticed by the rush of daily experience. Yet they leave behind a memory that is not spoken or seen, but felt deeply in a place beyond words. This memory, often called the memory locked in silence, holds the weight of what is unsaid, unseen, and sometimes even unknowable. It is the memory of pauses between words, the spaces between actions, and the quiet moments that stitch the fabric of your life together. Imagine a conversation where no one speaks for a while, yet everything seems understood, or a shared glance that conveys more than 1,000 words. These silent moments carry emotional depth and meaning that often remain lodged in your memory in subtle, powerful ways. They are not recorded as facts or stories, but as sensations, tension, relief, anticipation, or peace. The brain encodes silence in much the same way it encodes sound or images, but silence activates different networks. The absence of noise sharpens awareness, focusing attention inward. In these gaps, your mind becomes a canvas where feelings and thoughts emerge with clarity. The silence between words or events allows emotions to breathe, space for reflection to form, and connections to deepen. Silence is often intertwined with emotion. Grief's quiet presence, love's tender stillness, or fear's heavy pause. These experiences leave their mark not as loud memories, but as impressions that shape your emotional landscape. For example, the silence after hearing bad news can be searing and unforgettable, even if no words are spoken. This quiet space becomes a container for processing pain, confusion, and acceptance. Neurologically, the brain's default mode network, active when the mind is at rest or introspective, is engaged during moments of silence. This network supports self-reflection, memory consolidation, and emotional regulation. Silence invites this introspective state, allowing the brain to organize thoughts and feelings in ways that chatter and noise often prevent. Culturally and socially, silence has complex meanings. In some traditions, silence is sacred, a doorway to deeper understanding or spiritual connection. In others, it may signal discomfort or disconnection. Your personal memories of silence are shaped by these cultural and interpersonal contexts, influencing how you experience and remember quiet moments. Memory locked in silence also explains why some moments feel powerful despite lacking dramatic events. The peaceful pause after a storm, the calm before an important decision, the quiet companionship shared without words. These times imprint on the mind and heart because silence allows presence and authenticity to emerge. This silent memory is often overlooked because it is subtle and intangible. It does not announce itself with clear images or stories, but lingers as a feeling, a tone, or a space within your being. Yet it holds great significance, shaping how you relate to yourself and others. In dreams and meditation, this memory may surface as stillness or emptiness, spaces where insight and healing can occur. Embracing these silent moments can deepen your connection to your inner world and to the rhythms of life itself. Understanding that memory includes what is silent helps you appreciate the fullness of your experience. Not everything must be spoken or remembered in detail to matter. Sometimes, the quiet spaces between memories are where life's deepest meanings reside. So tonight, as you prepare for rest, invite the memory of silence into your awareness. Notice the pauses in your breath, the stillness of the room, the quietness within. In this gentle space, your mind holds memories not in words, but in the sacred hush where presence and peace quietly unfold. There are certain memories that never seem to fade, no matter how much time passes or how many experiences follow. These memories often center around moments of profound emotional significance. Times when your heart was deeply moved, your world shifted, or your identity was forever changed. The intensity of these memories is not accidental. It is a reflection of how the brain encodes and preserves what matters most to you, locking in moments that shape who you are. At the core of this enduring memory lies the powerful interplay between emotion and cognition. When an event stirs strong feelings, whether joy, fear, love, or grief, the brain responds by releasing a cascade of chemicals such as adrenaline and cortisol. These hormones act as memory enhancers, signaling to the brain that the experience is important and should be stored with extra care. This biological mechanism ensures that emotionally charged events are etched more deeply into the neural fabric than ordinary moments. For instance, the birth of a child, the loss of a loved one, a life-threatening experience, or a moment of unexpected kindness often remain vivid in your mind for decades. You might recall not only the facts of what happened, but also the smells, sounds, and even the emotions that accompanied the event. This multi-sensory, emotional memory is richer and more accessible because it involves multiple brain regions working in concert. The amygdala, known as the brain's emotional center, plays a critical role in this process. It evaluates the emotional significance of experiences and modulates how memories are consolidated. When the amygdala is activated during an emotionally intense event, it enhances the hippocampus's ability to store detailed information, making these memories more durable. Furthermore, these strong memories often serve as reference points or anchors in your life narrative. They shape your beliefs, values, and behaviors. A childhood memory of feeling safe and loved can foster resilience and trust, while a traumatic event may influence your sense of vulnerability or caution. These memories are not static snapshots. They interact dynamically with your ongoing experiences, influencing how you interpret new information and respond to challenges. Over time, the emotional charge of a memory can change. With reflection, healing, or new perspectives, the feelings associated with a memory may soften or shift. Yet the core imprint often remains, continuing to inform your sense of self. This evolution demonstrates the brain's remarkable plasticity, its ability to update and reshape memory while preserving essential identity markers. In addition to personal memories, collective or cultural memories can also hold lasting emotional weight. Shared experiences of historical events, community celebrations, or collective traumas become part of your emotional memory landscape, linking you to a larger social and temporal context. These deeply rooted memories also explain why certain triggers, such as a song, a scent, or a phrase, can evoke powerful recollections and emotions suddenly and intensely. Your brain, in its vast network, connects these sensory inputs to the stored emotional memory, bringing past moments vividly into the present. In dreams, these enduring memories often appear as central themes or symbols, reflecting ongoing processing and integration. The mind revisits these important experiences to extract meaning, reconcile feelings, or prepare for future challenges. Understanding the nature of these strong memories offers insight into the human experience. It reminds you that memory is not just about remembering facts, but about preserving what matters, what touches your heart, shapes your soul, and defines your journey. So tonight, as you rest, honor the memories that have stayed with you, the ones that carry your deepest joys and sorrows, triumphs and lessons. These memories are the threads that weave the rich tapestry of your life, holding your story with enduring care and profound significance. There's a quiet dance happening inside your mind every moment you are awake, and even when you sleep, that shapes how you experience time itself. It's not just the ticking of clocks or the passing of minutes that defines time in your brain. Rather, your perception of time is deeply intertwined with your memories, emotions, attention, and the very way your mind organizes experience. This is why time can feel elastic, stretching during moments of fear or boredom and shrinking in moments of joy or flow. When you look back on your life, you may notice that some periods seem to have lasted forever, while others pass in a blink. Childhood summers often feel endless, filled with novelty and discovery, while recent months may blur together in a rush. This distortion is not simply a quirk of memory, but a fundamental feature of how the brain processes and stores experiences. One key factor is attention. When you pay close attention to something, when your senses are heightened and your mind is fully engaged, time seems to slow down. This is because your brain is capturing more details, encoding richer memories, and creating a denser tapestry of experience. Later, when you recall these moments, they feel longer because there is more to remember. Conversely, during routine or monotonous periods, your brain records fewer details. The passage of time feels quicker because your memory has fewer landmarks. Days blend into each other, and weeks vanish without distinct markers. This is why new experiences, travel, or learning something novel can make time feel fuller and slower, while repetitive tasks seem to speed by unnoticed. Emotion also plays a critical role in time perception. Moments of high stress or danger can feel elongated as your brain heightens awareness to protect you. This hyperfocus allows you to process threats quickly and thoroughly, but makes time feel almost suspended. On the other hand, positive emotions like happiness or love can make hours feel like minutes, as your mind becomes absorbed and less conscious of the passing seconds. Neurologically, the brain's internal clock is regulated by several regions, including the basal ganglia and the prefrontal cortex. These areas integrate sensory information, attention, and emotional signals to create your subjective experience of time. Disruptions to these systems, whether from fatigue, illness, or altered states of consciousness, can further distort how time is perceived. Interestingly, memory itself is not stored in chronological order. The brain organizes memories based on meaning, emotional significance, and connections rather than strict timeline. This non-linear storage means that recalling a past event can sometimes feel as immediate as if it happened moments ago, blurring the boundaries between past and present. Dreams and altered states often showcase this fluidity of time. In dreams, hours can pass in moments, or entire lifetimes can unfold in a single scene. These experiences reveal that time perception is a construct, created by the brain to organize experience rather than an absolute external reality. As you grow older, your perception of time often accelerates. This is partly because life becomes more routine, and partly because each unit of time represents a smaller fraction of your total lived experience. A year to a 5-year-old is a huge span, but to a 50-year-old, it feels brief. Understanding how memory and attention shape your experience of time can enrich your life. By seeking new experiences, cultivating mindfulness, and embracing the present moment, you can stretch time, creating fuller, richer days that linger in memory. So tonight, as you prepare to rest, reflect on the moments that have slowed your heart and expanded your awareness. These are the times when time itself bends, reminding you that while clocks measure seconds, your mind measures life in the depth and meaning of each experience. In this way, time is not just passing, it is living. There is a profound question that has occupied thinkers, poets, and seekers for centuries. Can true happiness exist without meaning? This inquiry strikes at the heart of human experience and memory, touching on the way your brain not only stores moments of joy, but also frames them within the larger narrative of your life. Happiness, after all, is not just a fleeting sensation. It is deeply connected to how you understand yourself and your place in the world. Your brain is wired to seek patterns and purpose. Memories do not exist in isolation. They are woven into stories that give your life coherence and direction. When events and experiences align with a sense of meaning, happiness feels more enduring, more grounded. Without this anchor, moments of pleasure can feel shallow or fleeting, like bubbles rising and bursting too quickly. Neurologically, the experience of happiness involves multiple brain regions, including the reward system, the ventral tegmental area, nucleus accumbens, and prefrontal cortex, which respond to pleasurable stimuli. But meaning engages other networks, particularly those involved in self-reflection, narrative construction, and emotional regulation. This dual engagement creates a richer, more sustained form of well-being. Studies in psychology have shown that people who perceive their lives as meaningful tend to report greater life satisfaction and resilience, even when facing hardship. Meaning provides a framework that helps you interpret memories, giving context to joy and sorrow alike. It allows you to see your struggles as part of a larger journey and your successes as steps toward a purpose. Conversely, when meaning is absent or unclear, happiness can become fragile. Moments of pleasure may arise, but they lack the depth that sustains well-being over time. This can lead to feelings of emptiness or disconnection, as though life is a series of disconnected events rather than a coherent whole. Philosophers like Albert Camus have explored this tension between happiness and meaning, suggesting that even in the face of an absurd or indifferent universe, individuals can create their own meaning through conscious choice and engagement. This act of meaning-making becomes a form of rebellion and affirmation, a way to find happiness that is both authentic and profound. Memory plays a key role in this process. Your brain continually integrates past experiences, emotions, and reflections to construct a narrative self. When you recall happy memories that are tied to meaningful contexts, relationships, achievements, acts of kindness, they resonate more deeply and reinforce your sense of purpose. These memories become treasures that sustain you. Moreover, meaningfulness influences your attention and perception. When you approach life with a sense of purpose, you are more likely to notice and remember moments that align with your values. This positive feedback loop enhances happiness, creating a cycle where meaning and joy reinforce each other. In contrast, a life focused solely on immediate pleasure without connection to deeper values may fail to produce lasting happiness. The brain's reward system can habituate to repeated stimuli, reducing the intensity of pleasure over time. Without the stabilizing force of meaning, this can lead to dissatisfaction or a constant search for new thrills. Understanding the interplay between happiness and meaning encourages a holistic approach to well-being. It invites you to cultivate not just pleasurable experiences, but also a sense of purpose, connection, and contribution. These elements enrich your memories and guide your future choices. Tonight, as you reflect on your day and the memories it holds, consider the meanings woven through your experiences. Let the joy you feel be more than a passing light. Let it be a flame that illuminates your path. In the dance between happiness and meaning, you find not only pleasure, but also the profound satisfaction of a life well remembered and well lived. Your shadow self is a hidden companion, a mysterious presence woven into the fabric of your mind, quietly shaping your memories, thoughts, and behaviors without your full awareness. It is the part of you that holds the traits, desires, and impulses you may prefer to ignore or suppress. Those aspects that society or your own conscience might label as unacceptable or dark. Yet, this shadow self is not an enemy. It is an essential piece of the puzzle that makes you whole. Understanding how your brain stores and manages the shadow can reveal profound insights about memory, identity, and healing. From early life, your brain begins to categorize experiences, emotions, and behaviors into what is acceptable and what is not, based on social norms, parental guidance, and personal values. The parts of yourself that conflict with these standards often get pushed into the unconscious, where they become part of the shadow. This unconscious storage is a form of mental self-protection, helping you maintain social harmony and psychological stability. Neuroscientifically, the shadow self involves complex brain processes related to repression, dissociation, and implicit memory. These memories and feelings may not be accessible to your conscious mind, but still influence your behavior, emotional reactions, and relationships. For instance, unresolved anger or fear stored in the shadow can manifest as inexplicable anxiety, irritability, or self-sabotage, often baffling your conscious awareness. The shadow self also interacts dynamically with your conscious identity. While you may present yourself in a certain way publicly, the shadow holds the counterbalance, repressed desires, fears, and vulnerabilities that create inner tension. This tension can cause discomfort, but it also motivates growth. When you begin to acknowledge and integrate your shadow, you open the door to deeper self-understanding and authenticity. Carl Jung, who extensively studied the shadow, emphasized that confronting this hidden aspect is crucial for psychological wholeness. He suggested that the shadow is not merely negative, but contains creative potential and untapped resources. Memories and traits stored in the shadow can be reclaimed and transformed, enriching your personality and expanding your awareness. Memory plays a critical role in shadow integration. As you bring unconscious memories and feelings into conscious awareness, the brain reprocesses and reframes them. This can involve revisiting painful or shameful experiences, understanding their origins, and developing compassion for yourself. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for higher order thinking and emotional regulation, becomes more engaged, helping to update the emotional charge associated with these memories. Therapeutic practices such as journaling, mindfulness, and psychotherapy often facilitate this process by creating safe spaces to explore and express shadow aspects. Dreams, too, provide a rich venue where the shadow speaks in symbols and narratives, offering clues and guidance for integration. Ignoring the shadow, however, can lead to its unconscious influence causing disruption, projecting unwanted traits onto others, repeating harmful patterns, or feeling fragmented internally. The shadow can act as a hidden controller, steering behavior in ways that feel out of control or contrary to your conscious goals. On the other hand, embracing the shadow fosters resilience and self-acceptance. It allows you to reclaim lost parts of yourself and to live with greater freedom and authenticity. Memories that once caused pain or shame can become sources of strength and wisdom when understood in context. The shadow self also enriches creativity and empathy. By acknowledging your own complexity, you can better appreciate the nuances in others. This deeper empathy fosters connection and healing in relationships. Tonight, as you rest, invite a gentle awareness of your shadow self. Without judgment or fear, acknowledge the hidden parts of your memory and being. Recognize that these aspects, once brought to light, can become powerful allies in your journey toward wholeness. In the embrace of your shadow, you find not darkness alone, but the full spectrum of your humanity, waiting patiently to be remembered, understood, and loved. Intelligence, with all its brilliance and complexity, has always been a double-edged sword. While it opens doors to understanding, creativity, and innovation, it can also cast a shadow, a profound sense of alienation and isolation that many highly intelligent individuals know all too well. This paradox is deeply rooted in how the brain processes memory, emotion, and social connection, creating challenges that are often invisible yet deeply felt. At the core of this experience is the way intelligent minds engage with memory and thought. High intelligence often means heightened awareness, rapid processing of information, and an acute sensitivity to patterns and inconsistencies in the world around you. Your brain holds vast networks of memories, knowledge, and associations, constantly weaving them into complex frameworks. This cognitive richness allows for deep insight, but also means you may see layers of meaning and contradiction that others miss. This depth of processing can lead to a sense of difference. While others might take things at face value, you might question assumptions, analyze motives, and foresee consequences, making ordinary social interactions feel simplistic or superficial. Your memories of social experiences may be tinted with this awareness, highlighting moments where you felt misunderstood, ignored, or even feared for your intellect. Neurologically, the brain areas involved in intelligence, such as the prefrontal cortex, also regulate social cognition and emotional processing. When these systems are highly active, They can create a tension between intellectual understanding and emotional connection. You might find yourself intellectually grasping the feelings or perspectives of others, but emotionally distanced, unable to fully bridge the gap. This dynamic can lead to loneliness, as the intelligent individual may feel isolated in their thoughts and experiences. Memories of social rejection or exclusion can reinforce this sense of alienation, creating a cycle where the desire for connection clashes with the difficulty of finding it. The emotional memories associated with these experiences, shame, frustration, sadness, may be vividly encoded, influencing future interactions. Moreover, society often misunderstands intelligence, sometimes fearing it or expecting conformity rather than difference. This external pressure can deepen the internal struggle, as you may suppress parts of yourself to fit in, leading to a fragmented memory of identity and experience. The brain then must manage conflicting narratives, who you truly are and who you feel compelled to be. Yet this profound intelligence also offers tools for overcoming isolation. Self-awareness, reflective memory, and the capacity for deep empathy, when nurtured, can help you navigate social complexities and build meaningful connections. Understanding your own patterns of thought and feeling allows you to approach relationships with authenticity and resilience. Creative outlets and intellectual pursuits can also provide solace and community, connecting you with others who appreciate the depth and nuance you bring. Memories of positive, validating experiences become anchors, reminding you that connection is possible and that your intelligence is a gift, not a barrier. Therapeutic approaches, mindfulness, and self-compassion practices can aid in reconciling the tension between intellect and emotion. They encourage integration of all parts of yourself, mind, heart, and memory, leading to a more harmonious sense of identity. Tonight, as you rest, honor the complexity of your mind and the memories it holds, the triumphs and the trials, the insights and the loneliness. Remember that your intelligence, with all its challenges, is a powerful force that shapes your unique journey. In embracing both the light and shadow of your intellect, you open the door to deeper connection, understanding, and peace. There is a remarkable interplay between your body, mind, and the memories that shape who you are, a connection that becomes especially vivid in the silent language of prayer. When you begin your day with a prayer of praise, regardless of life's trials, you are engaging not only your spirit, but also activating deep neurological pathways that influence your emotional and mental well-being throughout the day. The act of praising, especially in the face of adversity, is more than a spiritual practice. It is a profound cognitive and emotional exercise. Your brain is wired to respond to gratitude and positive affirmation. When you consciously express praise, whether through spoken words, silent thoughts, or heartfelt emotion, you engage the brain's reward system. This activation releases neurotransmitters such as dopamine and serotonin, which promote feelings of joy, peace, and resilience. This biochemical response is intertwined with memory. Praising, particularly in challenging times, helps reframe past and present experiences in a more positive light. Memories associated with struggle or pain begin to shift, gradually infused with a sense of hope and meaning. This reframing is crucial for mental health because it counteracts the brain's natural tendency to focus on threats and negativity, a survival mechanism that, while protective, can sometimes lead to anxiety and despair. When you start your day with praise, you are setting a cognitive and emotional tone. This morning ritual helps your brain prioritize positive memories and expectations, shaping your perception and reactions to the day ahead. It acts as a mental anchor, grounding you in gratitude and faith, which can buffer against stress and cultivate resilience. Neurologically, this process involves the prefrontal cortex, responsible for attention, planning, and emotional regulation. Engaging in prayer activates this area, enhancing your capacity to manage difficult emotions and maintain focus. The limbic system, which processes emotions, also responds, integrating feelings of comfort and security. Moreover, prayer often involves rhythmic breathing, repetition, and focused attention, all practices known to induce relaxation and reduce the body's stress response. This physiological calm supports clearer thinking and emotional balance, which further strengthens your ability to face challenges with grace. The memories you carry are not static. They are dynamic and subject to reinterpretation. Morning praise creates a fertile ground for this reinterpretation, allowing memories of hardship to coexist with gratitude and faith. This blending enriches your narrative, fostering a sense of purpose and connection that transcends immediate difficulties. Spiritually, praising in all circumstances is an act of surrender and trust. It acknowledges that while you may not control every event, you can choose your response. This choice empowers you, shifting your mindset from victimhood to agency. As your day unfolds, the neural pathways reinforced by morning praise help sustain this perspective. You may find moments of frustration or sorrow tempered by an underlying current of peace. The memories that once triggered despair may now evoke lessons, strength, or compassion. Tonight, as you reflect on your day and prepare for rest, remember the power of beginning with praise. Each morning, prayer is a seed planted in your brain and heart, a seed of hope, resilience, and love. Through this practice, you cultivate a memory landscape rich with gratitude and faith, ready to nourish you through whatever tomorrow may bring. In this way, your daily praise becomes more than ritual. It becomes a living dialogue with your inner self, your past, and the divine. It is a reminder that no matter what happens, you can choose to remember and honor the goodness that persists, and in doing so, find strength beyond measure. There is a deep and subtle power in beginning your day with words of devotion and trust, words that affirm your connection to something greater than yourself and fortify your spirit against the unseen challenges that life may bring. When you start your morning with a prayer to defend yourself from spiritual attacks, you engage not only a practice of faith, but also a profound psychological and neurological process that can shape how you experience the day ahead. The brain is a remarkable organ capable of weaving intention, emotion, and belief into a fabric that influences perception and resilience. When you speak or meditate on prayers of protection, your brain activates neural circuits associated with safety, calm, and focused attention. This activation is not merely symbolic. It triggers real physiological responses that prepare your body and mind to face adversity. At the core of this process is the amygdala, the brain's center for processing threats and fear. Spiritual prayers of defense help regulate amygdala activity, reducing its overactivation that can lead to anxiety and hypervigilance. Simultaneously, the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for rational thinking and emotional regulation, strengthens its control, helping you maintain composure and clarity in the face of stress. Moreover, prayer often involves rhythmic breathing and focused repetition, practices that induce relaxation and lower the body's stress hormones, such as cortisol. This calming effect supports a state of readiness rather than reactivity, enabling you to respond to challenges with wisdom rather than fear. From a psychological perspective, beginning the day with a protective prayer sets a positive intention, shaping your mindset and emotional framework. This intention acts as a cognitive anchor, influencing how you interpret events, regulate emotions, and interact with others. When you consciously affirm your spiritual defense, you reinforce feelings of safety and empowerment, which can buffer against negativity and fear. Memory also plays a vital role. The brain encodes not just events, but the emotional context and intention surrounding them. By starting your day with prayers of defense, you create strong associative memories, linking faith and protection to your daily experiences. These memories can later be recalled in moments of doubt or difficulty, providing comfort and strength. Spiritually, such prayers acknowledge the reality of unseen forces and affirm your trust in divine protection. This act of surrender and faith is itself empowering, as it shifts your focus from vulnerability to strength. It reminds you that you are not alone, and that there is a higher power watching over you. Throughout the day, the neural pathways and emotional resilience cultivated in the morning prayer help sustain your inner peace. You may find yourself less affected by negative influences, more centered in your values, and more compassionate toward others. Challenges become opportunities for growth rather than sources of defeat. At night, when the mind reflects on the day, the memories and emotions shaped by your morning prayers continue to nurture your spirit. They contribute to restful sleep and prepare you for renewal, creating a cycle of protection and peace. So as you rise each morning, consider the power of starting your day with a prayer of defense. It is more than words. It is a practice that engages your whole being, mind, body, and spirit in a sacred act of preparation and trust. Through this daily ritual, you build a fortress of faith and resilience that guards your heart and mind, enabling you to walk confidently through life's unseen battles. In this way, your morning prayer becomes a shield, a source of strength, and a beacon of hope, reminding you that no matter what comes your way, you are held, protected, and empowered beyond measure. There is a sacred rhythm to beginning each day, with words that uplift your spirit and center your heart. A morning prayer that calls upon divine compassion, mercy, and guidance to carry you through the hours ahead. When you start your day with such a prayer, you are not only engaging in a spiritual ritual, but also activating powerful neurological and psychological processes that prepare your mind and body for resilience, clarity, and peace. The brain responds deeply to the intentional act of prayer. As you speak or meditate on words invoking mercy and help, neural circuits associated with attention, emotion regulation, and reward are engaged. This engagement leads to the release of calming neurotransmitters such as serotonin and endorphins, which reduce stress and enhance feelings of well-being. Your heart rate may slow, your breathing deepen, and a sense of calm may settle, all preparing you to meet the day with balance. From a psychological standpoint, starting your day with a prayer of mercy cultivates an internal environment of hope and trust. This intentional focus acts as a cognitive anchor, setting a tone that influences how you perceive challenges, setbacks, and opportunities. When you consciously invite mercy and assistance, you are essentially programming your brain to be open to support, whether divine, interpersonal, or internal. Memory also plays a role in this process. The words and emotions of your morning prayer become part of your associative memory network, linking spiritual intention to daily experiences. When you encounter difficulty, recalling this prayer can evoke the same sense of peace and trust, serving as a mental refuge and source of strength. Neurologically, prayer activates the prefrontal cortex, enhancing your capacity for executive function, planning, decision-making, and emotional control. This activation helps you respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively, navigating the day with wisdom. The limbic system, which processes emotions, is also modulated, reducing the intensity of fear or anxiety. Spiritually, invoking mercy and help is an act of humility and surrender, acknowledging that you are part of a larger whole and that you seek guidance beyond yourself. This surrender can be profoundly empowering as it shifts the focus from self-reliance to trust and connection. Throughout the day, the intentions set by your morning prayer create ripples in your consciousness. You may find moments where patience, compassion, or courage arise seemingly effortlessly, nurtured by the foundation you built at dawn. These moments reinforce your sense of purpose and grace, weaving spiritual strength into your actions and interactions. At night, when your mind reflects on the day, the memories of your morning prayer continue to resonate, fostering gratitude and peace. This reflection supports restorative sleep and prepares your spirit for renewal. Incorporating a prayer of mercy and help into your morning routine transforms the ordinary start of day into a sacred practice of connection, intention, and empowerment. It invites you to carry the blessings of compassion throughout every moment, reminding you that you are held in mercy and never alone. So as you greet each new morning, let your prayer be a beacon, illuminating your path, soothing your heart, and strengthening your spirit. In this gentle invocation, you find the grace to face whatever comes with hope, resilience, and love. There is a profound comfort in beginning your day with a heartfelt prayer that calls upon divine mercy, a sacred request that invites compassion, forgiveness, and healing into your life. This morning prayer is more than a ritual. It is a powerful practice that engages your mind, body, and spirit in a harmonious dance, fostering resilience, peace, and a deep sense of connection to something greater than yourself. When you open your heart in prayer, expressing a sincere plea for mercy, your brain responds with measurable shifts in neural activity. Regions involved in emotion regulation, such as the prefrontal cortex, become more active, helping to calm anxiety and cultivate equanimity. The limbic system, home to the amygdala and hippocampus, integrates feelings of safety and compassion, reducing the body's stress response and releasing neurotransmitters like oxytocin, which promote trust and social bonding. This neurochemical cascade creates a physiological state conducive to well-being, grounding you in calm and openness. Your breath slows, your heart rate stabilizes, and muscle tension diminishes. These physical changes prepare you to face the challenges of the day with a centered and compassionate mind. Psychologically, beginning the day with a prayer for mercy sets a powerful intention. It shifts your focus from fear or control towards surrender and hope. This intention acts as a mental anchor, influencing how you perceive yourself, others, and the world. It encourages forgiveness, both of yourself and those around you, opening the way for emotional healing and release from burdens carried from the past. Memory intertwines with this process in meaningful ways. The words and emotions of your prayer become encoded in your associative memory, linking mercy to your daily experiences. When difficulties arise, recalling this prayer can evoke a renewed sense of grace and strength, helping you navigate adversity with patience and kindness. Spiritually, invoking mercy is an act of humility and trust. It acknowledges human imperfection and the universal need for compassion. This humble recognition fosters a deep connection to the divine or to the universal source of love and forgiveness, reinforcing your sense of belonging and purpose. Throughout the day, the peace and resilience cultivated in your morning prayer ripple outward. You may notice greater patience in your interactions, a softer heart toward yourself and others, and a stronger capacity to forgive mistakes, both yours and others. These qualities enhance your relationships and contribute to your overall sense of fulfillment. As night falls and your mind reflects on the day, the memory of your morning prayer continues to soothe and inspire. It supports restful sleep and prepares you for renewal, creating a continuous cycle of mercy and grace. Incorporating a morning prayer for mercy into your daily life transforms each sunrise into an opportunity for healing, connection, and growth. It invites you to carry compassion in your heart and to extend it outward in your thoughts and deeds. So, as you greet each morning, let your prayer be a gentle call, inviting mercy to fill your life, to soften your spirit, and to guide your steps with kindness and love. In this sacred practice, you find a wellspring of strength and peace that sustains you through all that lies ahead. There is a profound peace that emerges when you begin your day with a prayer seeking patience and guidance, a heartfelt appeal that not only nurtures your spirit, but also engages your mind and body in a deep process of preparation for the challenges ahead. This morning prayer, grounded in the wisdom of ancient teachings, serves as a beacon that illuminates your path, aligning your inner world with the flow of life and the divine order. The brain's response to such prayer is both subtle and powerful. As you speak or meditate on words asking for patience and guidance, neural circuits involved in emotional regulation and executive function become activated. The prefrontal cortex, which governs decision-making, impulse control, and attention, strengthens its influence, helping you cultivate calmness and clarity. This enhanced regulation tempers the limbic system's emotional reactivity, reducing stress and fostering a balanced emotional state. Physiologically, this mental state translates into slower, deeper breathing, lowered heart rate, and decreased muscle tension, all signs of the parasympathetic nervous system's calming effect. This relaxation response readies your body and mind to face the day with resilience and grace, rather than reactivity or overwhelm. Psychologically, starting your day with a prayer for patience and guidance sets a powerful intention that influences your perceptions and behaviors. It encourages mindfulness, a focused awareness of the present moment, an openness to learning and growth. This intention acts as a cognitive anchor, helping you navigate difficulties with equanimity and seek solutions with wisdom. Memory plays a key role in this process. The prayer's words and the emotions they evoke become part of your associative memory network, linking patience and guidance to your daily experiences. When faced with frustration or uncertainty, recalling this prayer can evoke a renewed sense of calm and purpose, helping you respond rather than react. Spiritually, this prayer reflects a surrender to a higher wisdom, acknowledging that while you may not control every circumstance, you can choose to seek patience and guidance in all things. This humility opens your heart to divine insight and support, fostering trust and peace. Throughout the day, the qualities nurtured by your morning prayer ripple outward. You may find yourself more tolerant with others, more forgiving of your own mistakes, and more attuned to signs and opportunities for growth. These shifts enhance your relationships, decision-making, and overall well-being. At night, as you reflect on your day, the memory of this prayer continues to provide comfort and inspiration. It supports restful sleep and prepares you for renewal, creating a cycle of patience, guidance, and grace. Incorporating a morning prayer for patience and guidance into your routine transforms each new day into a sacred journey. It invites you to walk with intention, humility, and openness, qualities that nurture your spirit and empower your choices. So, as dawn breaks, let your prayer rise like the morning light, illuminating your path, steadying your heart, and guiding your steps with wisdom and compassion. In this sacred practice, you find the strength to face life's unfolding with serenity and grace, remembering that patience and guidance are gifts always within reach. There is a remarkable transformation that can occur when a person wrestles with the profound questions of life's purpose and meaning, a transformation that reshapes not only their understanding, but also how they remember and relate to their own existence. This journey, explored deeply by thinkers like Leo Tolstoy, reveals how the quest for meaning imprints itself onto memory and consciousness, creating a rich inner landscape where questions, reflections, and insights intertwine. Tolstoy, through his own intense struggles and writings, showed that the human mind is not satisfied with mere survival or fleeting pleasures. It seeks a narrative, a story that ties together the fragments of experience into a coherent whole. Memory plays a central role in this process. It is through recalling past events, emotions, and reflections that you begin to weave the threads of your life into a tapestry of meaning. When you face existential questions, your brain engages in deep reflection, activating regions involved in self-referential thinking and narrative construction, such as the medial prefrontal cortex and the default mode network. This neural activity supports the integration of memories with current beliefs, emotions, and goals, helping you form a personal philosophy that guides your life. Memories that once seemed ordinary may gain new significance as you reinterpret them in light of your evolving understanding. A childhood moment of kindness may become a symbol of hope. A past hardship may reveal hidden strength. This reappraisal enriches your memory landscape, transforming it from a mere record of events into a dynamic resource for meaning. Tolstoy's own experience underscores how this search can be both painful and liberating. Confronting the seeming absurdity of life, he found solace not in external achievements, but in a profound spiritual awakening, an encounter with faith and purpose that reshaped his memory and identity. This transformation illustrates how memory and meaning are intertwined. As your sense of meaning deepens, your memories become more coherent, integrated, and life-affirming. This process is not unique to great thinkers. It is part of the human condition. Everyone's memories hold the seeds of meaning, waiting to be nurtured through reflection, dialogue, and experience. Your brain's capacity to reframe and integrate memories allows you to move beyond despair or confusion toward clarity and peace. Spiritual practices, meditation, and philosophical inquiry can support this journey by creating space for contemplation and insight. Dreams also contribute, offering symbolic narratives that help reconcile conflicting feelings and thoughts. As you engage with life's big questions, your memories become more than past events. They become guideposts, teachers, and companions. They help you understand where you have been, who you are, and where you might go. Tonight, as you rest, invite your mind to hold these questions gently. Let your memories flow without judgment or haste, allowing new connections and meanings to emerge. In this quiet reflection, you participate in a timeless human journey, a journey toward a life remembered not just for what happened, but for what it truly meant. Through this process, you discover that meaning is not something distant or elusive. It is woven into the very fabric of your memory and consciousness, waiting to be recognized, embraced, and lived. There is a stark and unsettling truth that Niccolò Machiavelli illuminated centuries ago, one that remains profoundly relevant today. Power often falls into the hands of those who may lack wisdom, virtue, or true capability. This observation is not merely political commentary. It reveals deep insights about human nature, memory, and social dynamics that resonate in personal lives and societies alike. Machiavelli's analysis shows how ignorance, ambition, and opportunism can propel individuals into positions of influence, sometimes at great cost to those they lead. The brain's role in this dynamic is crucial. Leaders who gain power without the balance of wisdom or empathy often rely on emotional manipulation, fear, and simplistic narratives to maintain control. Their memories, filtered through self-interest and ego, reinforce a distorted view of reality, blinding them to the complexities and needs of others. On the other hand, those with true intelligence and insight may struggle to navigate the political or social arenas dominated by such power dynamics. Their memories of integrity, fairness, and nuanced understanding often clash with the harsh pragmatism required to wield influence. This dissonance can lead to frustration, alienation, or withdrawal. The phenomenon is also reflected in cognitive biases and social memory. Groups may collectively forget inconvenient truths or rewrite history to favor those in power, further entrenching unfit leaders. The brain's tendency toward confirmation bias reinforces these patterns, making it difficult for societies to recognize and correct poor leadership. Yet Machiavelli also implies a call to awareness. Understanding these patterns empowers individuals and communities to foster leaders who combine competence with character. It encourages the cultivation of critical memory, an honest, reflective engagement with the past that informs better choices. Memory, in this context, becomes a tool for vigilance and transformation. By remembering the consequences of poor leadership and valuing wisdom, societies can resist the allure of superficial power and seek genuine progress. On a personal level, this insight invites reflection on how power dynamics play out in your own relationships and decisions. It challenges you to cultivate discernment, integrity, and humility, resisting the temptations of ego-driven control. Ultimately, Machiavelli's lesson is both cautionary and hopeful. It warns of the dangers when power is divorced from virtue, but also points toward the possibility of change through conscious memory and action. As you carry these reflections with you, remember that true power lies not in dominance, but in the courage to seek truth, the wisdom to act justly, and the humility to learn from memory. Thank you for journeying through these explorations of memory, mind, and meaning. Each chapter has woven together threads of insight and reflection, inviting you to see yourself and your experiences in a new light. May these words nourish your curiosity and deepen your understanding, guiding you toward a richer, more mindful life. Until next time, may your memories be kind, your thoughts be clear, and your heart be at peace.